Welcome back, my friend. Tonight, I invite you to settle into a place of stillness. Let your body grow heavy. Let your breath soften. Let the noise of the day drift far behind you like a tide pulling away from the shore. This evening, we will journey together into a world as old as memory, as vast as the night sky, and as gentle as a dream. It is a world of stone and stars, forests and forgotten kingdoms, myths that curl like smoke through the branches of ancient trees. It is the world of the Maya, not the simplified stories written in textbooks, nor the scattered ruins seen in photographs, but the long, drifting river of their civilization, spanning thousands of years and countless lives. Before we begin, breathe in slowly. Feel the coolness entering your lungs. Exhale, and feel the weight of the present moment settling around you like a soft blanket. Tonight, we move through time not as historians, but as wanderers. We follow the whisper of leaves. We follow the glow of torches. We follow the quiet footsteps of ancestors who once walked these lands long before the world we know existed. Close your eyes, if you wish, and imagine the darkness around you shifting into the deep velvet black of a Mesoamerican night. Above you, stars glitter like shards of broken jade scattered across the sky. The moon hangs low, pale and serene, bathing the forest canopy in silvery light. Somewhere in the distance, a lone bird calls out, its voice echoing through the stillness. And beneath the trees, the air smells of earth after rain, of moss, of wood smoke drifting from unseen fires. This is where our story begins. Not in the grand cities of the Maya, not among the towering pyramids or carved stelae or bustling markets, but here, in the quiet, in the darkness before dawn, in the hush that comes before a civilization takes shape. Long before the Maya built their temples, they were simply people living close to the land, families clustered in small groups, traveling the hills and valleys of what we now call southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. They knew the land better than any map could show. They knew which roots calmed hunger, which leaves healed wounds, which rivers ran shallow in the dry season, and which swelled dangerously after the rains. They moved with the rhythm of the earth, not trying to conquer it, but learning to listen. Imagine them now, walking quietly through the forest, the children stepping carefully, watching their elders' feet to avoid snapping twigs, the hunters gripping spears tipped with obsidian sharper than glass, the gatherers carrying woven baskets, their eyes scanning the ground for berries or herbs. Their life was simple, but it was not easy. They lived by the bow, by the blade, by their knowledge of seasons, animals, and plants. Every sunrise brought tasks that could not wait. Firewood had to be gathered, water fetched, snares checked. Every sunset brought decisions that determined survival. Where to sleep, where to move next, where danger waited in the shadows. And yet, woven through this difficult life, was a profound sense of belonging, not to a nation or a city, but to the land itself. They understood the cycles of nature intimately. They watched the migration of birds. They followed the tracks of deer. They learned to read the stars long before they would carve them into stone. Generation by generation, their knowledge deepened. Slowly, they began to settle for longer periods in places where the earth was kind, where rivers offered fish, where the forests offered fruit, where the soil listened to the seeds they planted. And so, without ceremony, the first villages began to take shape. Homes of wood and thatch, small hearths where families cooked maize and squash, open spaces where children played and elders told stories. Picture one of these villages now. It is early morning, mist curls between the trees. A dog stretches beside the doorway of a thatched hut. A woman grinds maize on a stone slab, her rhythmic movements like a soft drumbeat against the dawn. A child sits nearby, tracing patterns in the dirt, shapes that resemble spirals, suns, and paths. Patterns that will one day become glyphs carved in jade and limestone. In the distance, a man returns from checking the traps. On the horizon, the sky shifts from indigo to pale lavender. The smoke of cooking fires rises in thin pillars, blending with the mist. Nothing about this scene feels monumental. Nothing suggests the rise of a great civilization. And yet, every great story begins with moments exactly like this. Quiet, ordinary, almost invisible. The Maya were not born from pyramids. They were born from mornings like this one, from families learning to trust the land, from seeds pushed gently into soft earth, from the first understanding that the world could be shaped by human hands. As the centuries passed, these small villages grew. Homes clustered more tightly together. Fields expanded. Communal spaces appeared where people gathered for rituals and celebrations. And slowly, the idea of time itself began to change. No longer did time flow only from sunrise to sunset. It began to form cycles, patterns, sacred meanings. The people watched the seasons, the moon, the stars. They counted, they compared, they remembered. And from their remembering, the earliest foundations of the Maya worldview emerged. Imagine a group of early observers standing at the edge of a clearing. They watch the sun rise between two distant hills. They mark the place with stones. They return the next day, and the next, and the next. They realize the sun does not rise in the same spot every morning. It moves. It travels along the horizon like a slow, patient dancer. This discovery is not written in books or carved into stelae. It is passed through whispers, gestures, the pointing of hands. Knowledge carried not by scholars, but by grandparents, hunters, farmers, mothers, and children. Over generations, these markings become more permanent. Stones arranged with intention. Open spaces cleared for observation. Simple structures built to honor the path of the sun. These early rituals were not about power or politics. They were moments of wonder. Moments when people looked at the sky and felt the presence of something larger than themselves. They believed the world was alive. That every tree, every river, every animal held a spirit. That the heavens above were not empty but filled with beings who watched, guided, and sometimes intervened. This was the seed of Maya spirituality, not dramatic sacrifices or grand temples, just the quiet awe that rises when a human being stands beneath a sky full of stars and asks, "What does it mean?" As time unfolded, the villages connected with neighboring communities. Paths through the forest became trade routes. Goods began to flow: salt, shells, pigments, obsidian blades that gleamed like frozen night. Stories traveled with them, songs, beliefs, and slowly a shared identity began to take shape. Not yet the Maya as we know them, but the early threads of a tapestry that would stretch farther than anyone could imagine. Picture these exchanges. Two groups meet at the edge of a forest clearing. They approach slowly, cautiously, offering gifts with open hands. Seeds, tools, pottery decorated with swirling patterns, a carved figurine representing an ancestor or a spirit of the earth. They do not share a single language, but they understand enough. They gesture, they smile, they make agreements. And when they part ways, each group carries home not just goods, but ideas. New ways of planting, new designs for homes, new stories about gods that live in caves or mountains or the sky. These ideas spread like roots beneath the soil. They strengthen, they intertwine, they shape the future. Centuries passed, and those early settlements grew into larger communities. Ceremonial platforms appeared simple at first, made of packed earth and stone. People gathered on these platforms to honor the spirits of rain, corn, and fire, to mark the changing seasons, to remember the ancestors who came before. As the rituals grew more complex, so too did the structures. The people began to build upward, each layer added with care, each stone placed with intention. These were not yet the towering pyramids of the classic Maya, but they were the first steps toward that legacy. Imagine standing in one of these early ceremonial centers. The air is heavy with humidity. The scent of burning copal resin drifts through the air, sweet and thick. People gather in a circle, their faces lit by the flickering glow of torches. Drums beat softly, like a heartbeat echoing across time. A priest, draped in woven cloth and feathers, speaks in a low, steady voice. He tells of the world's creation, of spirits that carved mountains, of winds that carried the first seeds, of ancestors who walked between the realms of earth and sky. The listeners bow their heads, their shadows trembling in the firelight. This moment, simple and sacred, is a turning point. It is the dawn of something new, a belief that time has shape, that the world is ordered, that humans and gods share a bond woven through ritual. From these beliefs, the Maya calendar would one day emerge. From these gatherings, priesthoods would form. From these early platforms, entire cities would rise. But for now, everything is still small, humble, fragile, and yet the foundation is there. The people are changing, their world is growing, their understanding of time deepens, their connection to the cosmos strengthens. Let's drift forward a little more, letting centuries pass like gentle waves. Villages become towns, towns become regional centers, trade expands, populations grow, and slowly, the first rulers begin to appear. Not kings in the way we think of them, not yet. These early leaders are caretakers of ritual, mediators between the living and the unseen. They are chosen because they understand the cycles of the sun and moon, because they interpret dreams, because they hold the stories of creation in their memory. Imagine such a leader standing at the top of a small platform. The community gathers below. The leader raises a hand. The crowd falls silent. The leader speaks not of conquest or power, but of harmony, of the balance between rain and drought, between planting and harvest, between humans and the spirits that guide them. These early leaders shape the rhythm of Maya life. They guide when to plant, when to celebrate, when to mourn, when to watch the heavens. And as their authority grows, so too does the architecture around them. Platforms grow larger, stones become more finely cut, small shrines become temples, symbols are carved into walls, marking events, rituals, and the names of leaders. The world is changing quickly now. The quiet beginnings of the Maya are falling behind us, replaced by more complex societies. And yet, even as the structures grow, the heart of their world remains the same. A devotion to time, a reverence for the earth, a deep, unbroken connection to the sky. These roots will nourish everything that comes later. The classic cities, the astronomers, the mathematicians, the kings, the artists, the warriors. Everything starts here, in these quiet centuries of gradual growth. As we move deeper into the story, let your breath remain slow. Let your thoughts drift like smoke rising from an ancient hearth. We are stepping toward the threshold of the Preclassic era, where the first monumental cities will rise from the forest floor. But for now, stay here in the twilight of early Maya life. Feel the warmth of a small fire crackling. Hear the distant hum of insects. Smell the soft smoke curling into the night. Imagine the stars above reflecting in the eyes of people who lived thousands of years ago. Long before they carved their histories into stone, they looked at the same sky you see now. They wondered the same questions. They felt the same mixture of fear and awe when the world shifted around them. And in their quiet searching, They began a story that would stretch across millennia. Tonight, we follow their footsteps, slowly, gently, without hurry. For time, to the Maya, was never something to rush. It was something to honor, to observe, to breathe with. And as we close this first part of our journey, let the world of the early Maya settle peacefully in your mind. A world where nothing is rushed, but everything is becoming. A world held together by silence, starlight, and the soft pulse of the earth. When you are ready, we will step forward into the Preclassic age, where the first great Maya cities begin to rise. But for now, rest in the dawn before history. Rest in the breath before civilization. Rest in the stillness where everything begins. Long before the world knew the Maya as the architects of pyramids, the keepers of celestial calendars, and the carvers of cryptic glyphs, they existed as something far quieter, far humbler, and far more ancient. To understand the Maya civilization, we must slip into a time so distant that the great cities have not yet risen, the dynasties have not yet been born, and even the idea of a Maya people has not yet come into existence. This is a time when the forest was the only cathedral, when rivers carved the only roads, and when the slow rhythm of nature guided every breath, every movement, every hope. Tonight, as you settle deeper into calmness, let us drift slowly into that faraway era. Let us return to the earliest roots of a people whose story begins not with stone, but with wilderness. Imagine the landscape of Mesoamerica thousands of years before recorded history. It is a world untouched by cities and unmarked by monuments. Dense jungles stretch endlessly across the horizon, their canopies forming a living tapestry of greens so deep they seem almost black under the midday sun. Mist clings to the treetops each morning, drifting like slow-moving spirits between branches. Rivers weave through the land, shining like silver threads in the dim light. There are mountains, rugged and quiet, watching over the valleys with the patient presence of giants. In this world, the first ancestors of the Maya walk softly. They tread not as conquerors, but as guests. Their footsteps press lightly into mud softened by rainfall. Their voices are low, blending with the hum of insects and the distant cry of birds hidden in towering trees. These early people live in small, kin-based groups. They move through the land in patterns shaped by seasons, water sources, and the movements of animals. They are hunter-gatherers, as all humans once were, and their survival depends on their ability to read the world around them. They know the calls of birds at dawn and what each one means, which calls signal approaching rain, which warn of predators, which tell them where fruit may be found. They know the footprints of deer, the burrows of armadillos, and the hidden nests of bees. They understand the personality of each landscape, the generosity of riverbanks, the danger of marshes, the promise of fertile valleys. Picture them in the early morning. The light is soft, filtering through the leaves in faint golden streaks. A small group walks through the trees. A man leads the way, his eyes scanning the ground for tracks. Behind him, two women carry woven baskets slung over their backs. A young child walks beside them, clutching a smooth river stone they picked up earlier. The air smells of damp earth and the sweet scent of crushed leaves. Somewhere nearby, water trickles over rocks, a gentle and eternal song. This world is quiet, but not silent. Life pulses in every direction, in the rustling of branches overhead, in the flutter of insect wings, in the distant echoes of animals waking to the new day. The early ancestors pause as they reach a clearing. Sunlight spills into the space, warming their skin. They kneel, checking snares set the night before. A small animal has been caught, and they give thanks to the spirit of the forest before loosening the trap. Their survival is not taken for granted. Every meal is a gift exchanged with the land. For thousands of years, life continues this way, small migrations, continuous learning, an intimate relationship with the rhythms of nature. These people do not yet build temples, but they already carry a profound sense of spirituality. Every mountain has a spirit, every river is alive, every storm is a message, and the sky vast, eternal, filled with patterns they do not yet fully understand, holds mysteries that will one day shape their mathematics, their kingship, and their architecture. But for now, the sky is simply a guide, a compass for nighttime travel, a clock for seasonal change, a story written in shifting constellations. It is around 7000 to 4000 BCE when a subtle but transformative shift begins. The ancestors of the Maya start experimenting with wild plants, noticing that some seeds grow better when placed in cleared soil. They see that certain grasses thrive when removed from their natural competition. Among these plants is a grass with small kernels, a species that will one day become maize, the sacred heart of Mesoamerican civilization. In this moment, agriculture is not yet a revolution, it is a whisper, a suggestion from the earth. The people clear small patches of land, plant seeds, and observe seasons pass. They learn which soils are kind and which refuse to nurture. They learn the right amount of sun, the right amount of water, the right time to harvest. This early agriculture is still modest. Hunting and gathering remain essential. Yet the presence of cultivated plants begins to shift the way people live. They spend longer periods in certain areas. They build more permanent shelters of wood, grass, and mud. They develop stable hearths for cooking, and slowly, the first true villages emerge. Imagine one of these early settlements. A cluster of simple homes sits on raised earth, protected from flooding. Smoke rises gently from several hearths as families prepare breakfast. The scent of roasted maize fills the air. Dogs rest near the doorways, tails flicking lazily. Children chase each other between the huts, their laughter echoing across the open clearing. Elders sit beneath a large tree, recounting stories of spirits that live in caves, stories of the first people shaped from mud and corn, stories of a world where the gods are as close as the wind. This village is peaceful, but not isolated. Other villages exist nearby, connected by trails that weave through the forest. People visit one another, exchange goods, share songs and rituals. Trade begins simple at first, but meaningful. Obsidian blades, feathers, shells, pigments, seeds. Each exchange strengthens ties between communities, and with these exchanges comes something far more important than goods. Ideas spread, stories spread, beliefs spread. Slowly, a shared cultural identity takes root. Over time, the people become more skilled at shaping the land. They learn to cultivate beans and squash alongside maize, creating a harmonious agricultural trio where each plant supports the others. They clear larger fields, though always with respect. Forest is removed carefully, with rituals to honor what is taken. They dig simple irrigation channels. They burn areas for new planting, allowing ash to nourish the soil. They observe the stars more closely now, connecting the cycle of the heavens with the cycle of their crops. From these observations, the early seeds of the Maya calendar begin to form, not yet formal, not yet written, but felt in the body, felt in the way the sun shifts along the horizon, felt in the phases of the moon, felt in the migration of birds and the flowering of certain plants. This new rhythm of life encourages gatherings that are larger and more structured. At first, the people create small raised platforms for rituals. These platforms are simple earthen mounds, built slowly, each layer representing a moment of communal effort. But as generations pass, these platforms become more significant. They evolve into the earliest ceremonial centers. A raised mound here, a shrine there, a plaza where the community comes together to call upon the forces of rain, earth, and sky. These spaces become the spiritual heart of early society. They are not yet cities, but they are the first signs of urban thinking, the understanding that shared spaces shape shared identity. In these communal places, rituals grow more sophisticated. Imagine a ceremony at dusk. The sky fades from gold to amber to deep blue. People gather around the central mound, holding torches whose flames flicker in the soft wind. The air is filled with the scent of copal resin, its sweet smoke curling into the night. A leader steps forward, not yet a king, but a respected elder or spiritual guide. Their voice is calm, melodic, carrying the stories of creation taught by generations before them. They speak of the world emerging from darkness. They speak of animals shaped from clay. They speak of the first dawn. The people listen with reverence. They know these stories are not just tales. They are explanations of how the world works. They are reminders of the sacred bonds between humans and the forces that sustain life. In these rituals, the earliest traces of later Maya cosmology can be felt: the belief in cycles, in dualities, in the interplay between the seen and unseen, the earthly and celestial. As centuries pass, populations continue to grow, villages expand, social roles become more defined. Some individuals specialize in particular tasks: stoneworking, pottery, weaving, ritual leadership. Labor becomes more organized. Households become extended kin groups. Gender roles, though flexible, begin to take clearer shape in daily activities. Yet even as society becomes more complex, the people remain deeply connected to nature. Their worldview is still shaped by the forest, the rivers, the night sky. The environment itself is not merely a backdrop, it is a teacher. It shapes the development of cultural practices. The wetlands teach the people how to build elevated platforms. The mountains teach them about caves, which they soon see as sacred portals to the underworld. The jungle teaches them patience, resilience, and respect. The sky teaches them order, pattern, and meaning. Slowly, their beliefs about the cosmos evolve. They understand that the world is composed of multiple layers, that beneath the earth lies a watery underworld, filled with spirits and ancestral forces, that above the earth stretches the heavens, home to gods who control light, darkness, rain, and the movements of celestial bodies. They begin to classify directions: north, south, east, west, each with its own color, its own guardian, its own meaning. These cosmological ideas will later appear in Maya art, architecture, glyphs, and royal rituals. But here, in this early age, they exist only in stories, dreams, and quiet observations. By around 2000 BCE, something remarkable happens. Settlements become significantly larger, more permanent, more interconnected. Agriculture supports denser populations. Ritual practices demand larger ceremonial spaces. Communities begin constructing substantial platforms and plazas. Villages evolve into proto-towns. Chiefs or ritual leaders hold more defined authority, guiding the community in both spiritual and practical matters. Trade networks expand further. Jade from distant mountains travels across hundreds of miles. Obsidian from volcanic regions becomes a prized material. Salt, cacao, cotton, dyes, and shells move from group to group, weaving an early economic web that unites the region. This growth marks the true dawn of Maya civilization. Not the classic period of towering pyramids and carved stelae, but the birth of cultural patterns that will shape everything that follows. Their worldview becomes more structured, their rituals more formal, their architecture more deliberate, their sense of time more sacred. And through all of this, their relationship with nature deepens rather than diminishes. They see themselves as part of a living world, not separate from it. They believe that every action, planting, harvesting, building, gathering, must honor the forces that sustain life. This reciprocal relationship becomes the core of Maya identity. As night falls in one of these early settlements, Imagine the soundscape around you. The forest hums with insects. Frogs croak near the edges of shallow ponds. A gentle breeze moves through the leaves, whispering messages learned from centuries of observation. In the village, families gather around fires. The flames glow softly, casting warm light on faces tired from the day's work. Children fall asleep beside their parents. Elders speak in low voices, recalling the wisdom of ancestors. In the distance, an owl calls through the night. The people listen. They understand that the owl's voice carries meaning, perhaps a sign, perhaps a warning, perhaps a reminder of the thin veil between worlds. As dawn approaches, the horizon turns from darkness to a faint shade of blue. The people rise, stretching their limbs. The scent of maize porridge fills the air. Dogs bark playfully. The day begins again, guided by tasks repeated for generations. Fetch water, grind maize, tend to crops, repair tools, watch the sky, give thanks. Through repetition, life becomes ritual. Through ritual, life becomes meaning. This quiet, steady rhythm is the foundation of Maya civilization. It will remain at the heart of their culture, even as they later build vast cities, study the stars with mathematical precision, and wage wars across the lowlands. In these early centuries, the Maya do not yet know the scale of what they are building. They do not know that one day their descendants will carve their names into stone. They do not know that their calendars will astonish future historians. They do not know that their cities will rise like mountains above the jungle canopy. They only know the earth beneath their feet, the seeds in their hands, the stories in their hearts, and the sky above that watches over them like a patient guardian. The prehistoric roots of the Maya are not loud or heroic. They are gentle, steady, and profoundly human. They remind us that even the greatest civilizations begin in silence, in small decisions, in daily rituals, in the slow gathering of knowledge passed lovingly from one generation to the next. And as we leave this early era and prepare to move toward the Preclassic age, where the first true Maya cities begin to rise, let the memory of these ancestors stay with you. Their footsteps are the first echoes of a civilization that will one day shape time itself. Their whispers are the earliest notes of a story that will unfold across thousands of years. And their quiet devotion to the land is the foundation upon which all Maya greatness will be built. The world of the early Maya grew slowly, like a seed pushing through fertile earth, reaching toward a sun it could not yet name. But as centuries passed and villages began to take shape across the valleys and forests of Mesoamerica, something profound started to stir. There was a shift, subtle at first, then unmistakable. The people who once wandered widely began to settle more firmly. The rituals once performed in open clearings grew more elaborate. The land, once a vast and scattered home, began to pulse with centers of gathering, worship, and identity. This chapter in their story is known to us as the Preclassic period, but to the people living through it, it was simply the dawn of something new, something bigger than any single village, bigger than any single generation. It was the birth of the first Maya cities. Imagine time flowing forward from our previous era, like a river widening as it moves downstream. The world is still wild, still dominated by dense forests and winding rivers, but the landscape is slowly changing. New patterns emerge. Houses cluster closer together. Agricultural plots expand. Ceremonial platforms appear like soft rises in the earth, small at first, then larger, more intentional, more aligned with the rhythms of the sky. It is around 2000 BCE when the first hints of urbanization begin. Villages transform into communities with recognizable centers. People build earthen mounds, shaped carefully by human hands, marking places of significance. These mounds are not yet monumental pyramids, but they are powerful symbols of cooperation. Each one represents hundreds of hands working together, shoveling earth, carrying stones, smoothing surfaces, driven by a belief that the land beneath their feet could be shaped into something sacred. Let us step quietly into one of these early communities. The morning sun filters through a canopy of tall trees. The air is cool, still damp from the night's dew. A narrow path leads to the heart of the settlement, where a newly raised platform stands. It is simple, just a flattened mound with a smooth top, but it is the largest structure anyone here has ever seen. Families gather around it. Some bring offerings: maize, squash, polished stones, woven baskets. Others stand in quiet anticipation, waiting for the moment when the first ritual will be performed atop this sacred rise. Around the platform, the village breathes with life. Women grind maize on stone slabs, their movements rhythmic and steady. Children chase one another through patches of sunlight, their laughter carrying across the clearing. Dogs curl near the edges of homes, watching with lazy eyes. The men who built the platform stand proudly, though their pride is quiet, softened by humility in the face of the spirits they honor. When night falls, torches are lit, smoke rises, and for the first time, the people experience what it means to gather as something larger than a single household. They sense the forming of community identity. They sense the presence of ancestors. They sense that they are part of a story that stretches beyond their own lifetimes. Over time, these ceremonial centers grow. People return to them again and again for rituals, trade, and gatherings. Slowly, houses begin to cluster around the mounds. Markets appear. Specialized labor takes hold. Potters refine their craft, sculpting vessels with elegant curves and patterns inspired by nature. Stone workers carve more precise tools. Builders learn to create structures that last longer, withstand storms better, and align more intentionally with the sun's movements across the sky. It is in this pre-classic era that the roots of Maya architecture and cosmology intertwine. The people begin to think of space not just as functional, but as sacred. They observe the sun rising and setting along the horizon. They note the changing position of constellations during different seasons. They measure shadows at midday. They see the world as a canvas upon which the gods leave signs. And so, their constructions begin to reflect this alignment. Platforms face cardinal directions. Pathways follow celestial order. Communities grow around central plazas where rituals reinforce the cycles of time. These early cities do not yet have the towering pyramids that will later define Maya civilization, but they are alive with spiritual geometry. As centuries pass, the pre-classic world enters a period of extraordinary growth. Between 1000 and 400 BCE, the first true city centers appear, places like Nakbé, El Mirador, Cival, and San Bartolo. These names, spoken today, evoke images of stone ruins covered in vines, but in their time, they were vibrant, bustling spaces filled with color, sound, and meaning. Let us walk now into one of these emerging cities. The sun is high, casting a warm glow over the plaza. The ground is firm beneath your feet, smoothed by countless footsteps. Nearby, a group of women sit beneath a shade canopy, shaping clay into pottery. Their hands move with confidence, passed down through generations of artisans. Each pot tells a story, a spiral representing the movement of the heavens, a jaguar motif symbolizing power, a bird etched along the rim honoring the messenger spirits of the skies. Across the plaza, men work together to raise a new structure. They haul stones, each more carefully shaped than the last. They stack the stones with patience, layering them into what will become one of the earliest multi-tiered temples. The work is slow, but they do not rush. Building is ritual, labor is devotion. To create something that rises from the earth toward the sky is to offer a gift to the gods who watch over them. Nearby, Children play with small clay figurines, miniature animals, miniature people, miniature symbols of their world. These toys are not mere entertainment. They are ways for children to explore identity, to mimic rituals, to learn stories. Even in play, the culture passes from one generation to the next. Let us sit at the edge of the plaza and watch as the city breathes. Merchants arrive from distant regions, carrying obsidian blades, jade fragments, shells from the coast, feathers dyed vibrant colors. Farmers bring maize, beans, squash, cacao, and chili peppers to trade. Ritual objects, necklaces of polished bone, carved wooden masks, textile decorations change hands. Trade is not just economic, it is spiritual. Every exchange deepens bonds between communities. Goods carry stories. Stories carry identity. Identity shapes the emerging Maya world. As these communities expand, their structures evolve further. The triadic architectural complex, destined to become one of the hallmarks of Maya design, appears during this period. A central pyramid flanked by two smaller structures forms a sacred triad that mirrors cosmological beliefs. The layout is not random. It reflects the three-part structure of the universe: the sky, the earth, and the underworld. When people climb the central pyramid, they move closer to the realm of gods. When they descend, they return to the human world. The architecture becomes a symbolic journey. Ritual participants reenact cosmic myths through movement, ascending to honor the heavens, descending to connect with the ancestors and spirits beneath the earth. These early cities also become centers of government. Though not yet fully developed monarchies, leadership structures emerge. Charismatic individuals, ritual leaders, warriors, skilled artisans gain influence. Councils form. Decisions are made collectively, but with guidance from those who understand the spiritual order. The leadership is not about power or conquest. It is about harmony, keeping the community aligned with the gods, seasons, and natural cycles. The rulers, proto-kings, we might call them, serve as mediators between the divine and the human. They interpret celestial signs. They oversee rituals. They ensure that offerings are made properly and that the agricultural cycle remains blessed. Their authority grows as their communities grow, laying the foundation for the divine kingship that will later define the Maya classic period. Let us step into one of the ceremonial gatherings of this pre-classic age. The sun has just set, and the sky glows with the colors of dusk orange fading to pink, pink fading to violet. Hundreds of people gather before a newly built platform. Torches blaze in the darkness, casting dancing shadows across the plaza. The air smells of copal incense, warm and sweet. Drums begin to beat softly, slow, steady, like the pulse of the earth itself. A ritual leader steps forward. They wear a headdress of feathers, their face painted with red and white patterns that represent the world tree, the axis that connects all realms. Their voice rises. It is calm but commanding. They speak of ancestors who carved the first mountains, of the gods who shaped the world from primordial darkness, of the spirits who guard the rain and the harvest. The people listen in silence. Some close their eyes. Others sway gently to the rhythm of the drums. The ritual leader lifts a bowl of maize and offers it to the sky, then to the earth, then to the four directions. The community joins in a low chant, a sound that reverberates through the plaza and up the sides of the temple platform. In this moment, the boundaries between past, present, and future dissolve. The people feel part of something enduring, something eternal. Such rituals strengthen social bonds. They also inspire innovation. The need for larger gatherings prompts more ambitious building projects. The need for more precise rituals encourages the development of calendrical systems. The need to tell stories through ritual leads to the earliest forms of symbolic art patterns, carved into pottery, painted onto murals, etched into stone. These symbolic expressions become precursors to the complex hieroglyphic writing system that will emerge centuries later. In the pre-classic world, we see the dawn of literacy, not yet in full script form, but in the desire to represent meaning visually and permanently. A painted mural might show a scene of creation. A carved stone might depict a leader offering blood to the gods. A decorated pot might symbolize the cycles of maize growth. These images are more than art. They are ways to fix memory, to teach, to preserve the cosmology that defines the Maya identity. As the centuries pass, the pre-classic cities become increasingly sophisticated. El Mirador, in particular, rises as a monumental center, one of the largest ancient cities of the Americas, long before Tikal or Palenque reached their height. At its peak, the city covers more than 15 square miles, with massive pyramids rising above the forest. But during the pre-classic period, even El Mirador is still growing, still discovering its identity. Large causeways, white, shining pathways made from limestone plaster connect different parts of the city. These causeways reflect the organization and unity of the community. They also symbolize the pathways between worlds in Maya cosmology. Imagine walking along one of these causeways. The surface is smooth beneath your feet, almost glimmering in the sunlight. On either side, the forest looms tall, yet the causeway cuts through it with intention and clarity. People pass you, merchants carrying goods, priests walking with solemn purpose, families heading to ceremonies, laborers returning from construction sites. The causeway hums with life, a conduit of movement and energy. It ties together the city's plazas, temples, and residential areas. It also ties together the people, connecting their identities, their beliefs, their destinies. During this era, population grows rapidly. Houses become more organized, arranged in clusters around shared courtyards. Family compounds develop, each with multiple structures for sleeping, cooking, storing goods, and performing small household rituals. These compounds become the basic units of society, a place where stories are shared, ancestors are honored, and children learn the skills they will pass to their own children someday. Water management begins to emerge as well. In some regions, people dig reservoirs. In others, they create early drainage systems. These innovations reflect an increasing mastery of the environment, one that will serve as a foundation for future classic period cities. But more importantly, they show the deep respect the Maya hold for water as a sacred element. To store water is not merely practical, it is spiritual. It is to honor life itself. Let us sit now at the edge of one of these reservoirs. The water is still, reflecting the sky like a perfect mirror. A few leaves drift on the surface. The air is thick with humidity. Frogs croak in the distance. The city hums softly around you. But here, by the water's edge, the world feels calm, timeless. A woman kneels beside the reservoir, filling a clay vessel. She pauses for a moment, whispering a quiet blessing, thanking the water for its gift. Her gesture is subtle, but it reveals a profound truth. The people understand that life depends on these elemental forces. Their rituals are not separate from daily life. They are woven into every action, every task, every breath. As the pre-classic era progresses, social hierarchy becomes more pronounced. Some individuals hold more influence, more wealth, and more spiritual authority. They live in larger homes, closer to ceremonial centers. They wear more elaborate clothing, cotton garments dyed rich colors, jewelry made of jade or shell, headdresses adorned with feathers. But wealth among the early Maya is not flaunted. It is tied to responsibility. Those who possess more must guide the community, protect the rituals, oversee the land. Leadership is a burden as much as it is an honor. Over time, these leaders begin to be buried with offerings, bowls, beads, carved figurines, tools, and even early versions of ceremonial masks. These burials show a shift toward ancestor veneration, a practice that will become central to Maya religion. The dead are not lost, they remain present. They watch over the living. They inhabit sacred places. They guide the flow of time. As we watch this world unfold, we see how the Preclassic period becomes the crucible in which Maya identity is forged. It is a time of slow, deliberate growth, a time when spiritual philosophy takes shape, a time when architecture finds its purpose, a time when the bonds between community and cosmos strengthen into something unbreakable. Now imagine walking one last time through a Preclassic city at dusk. The sun sinks behind the forest. A warm orange glow spreads across the plaza. People finish their tasks for the day. Children return to their homes. Merchants close their stalls. The smell of cooking maize drifts through the air. Torches begin to flicker to life, casting soft circles of light. A priest climbs one of the smaller platforms, preparing for a simple evening ritual. The sky darkens, revealing the first stars of the night, and as you stand in the quiet plaza, you feel the pulse of this world, the heartbeat of a civilization rising from the earth. Slowly, steadily, with patience and devotion, the Preclassic era ends not with a dramatic shift, but with a gradual transition. The ideas, structures, rituals, and social patterns developed during this time lay the foundation for the monumental classic Maya civilization that will soon emerge. But before that transformation arrives, the early cities will grow more powerful, more interconnected, and more spiritually rich than ever before. They are standing on the threshold of greatness, and as we leave the Preclassic world behind, we carry with us the soft whisper of its beginnings, the belief that time is sacred, that the land is alive, and that humanity finds its place not by conquering the world, but by listening to it. In the next chapter of our journey, we will step into the Classic period, a time when Maya civilization climbs to astonishing heights, shaping history in ways still felt today. As the centuries drifted onward from the Preclassic world, the villages and early cities of the Maya lands continued to grow, breathe, and transform. The earthen platforms of the past, once humble mounds rising gently above the forest floor, slowly evolved into more deliberate and ambitious constructions. The plazas widened, the temples rose higher, the walls grew more carefully aligned with the sky. Life, which had once unfolded in small circles of families and neighbors, now revolved around something larger: shared space, shared ritual, shared identity. And with these changes came the subtle emergence of a new force: kingship. Imagine the Preclassic world settling into twilight. The cities of Nakbé, El Mirador, Cival, and others glow softly in the fading light. Smoke drifts upward from cooking fires. The last echoes of children's laughter fade across the plazas. Rituals are ending for the night, leaving behind the scent of incense lingering in the air. The land hums with quiet continuity, and yet, beneath this serenity, something powerful is unfolding like a seed germinating in the dark. Society is becoming more intricate. The roles within communities are becoming more defined. Some individuals gain influence not only through spiritual knowledge, but also through the organization of labor, the supervision of construction, and the management of trade networks. People begin to look toward these individuals for guidance. They ask them to mediate disputes, to interpret celestial omens, to speak on behalf of the living and the dead. Leadership begins to shift from councils and elder groups to singular figures, charismatic individuals who hold both worldly and spiritual authority. These leaders do not yet call themselves kings, but their presence marks the beginning of something that will grow into full royal power. Let us imagine one such leader. He stands at the edge of a newly expanded plaza, his silhouette framed by the warm glow of the setting sun. He wears ornaments crafted of jade and bone, symbols of his connection to both the heavens and the earth. Around him, community members gather for an evening ritual, their eyes turned toward him with trust, reverence, and quiet expectation. This leader speaks softly, but his voice carries across the plaza. He tells of the rains that will come with the new moon. He recounts visions seen in dreams, visions of ancestral spirits walking across the sky. He describes the importance of honoring the gods through bloodletting, offerings, and sacred dances. And as he speaks, the people listen with the sense that he is more than a mere mortal. He is a bridge between worlds. Over time, the idea of sacred leadership becomes embedded in the social fabric. The Maya do not view their early leaders as rulers in the sense of conquerors or tyrants. Instead, they see them as vessels through which cosmic order flows. These leaders are chosen by fate, marked by signs interpreted in the patterns of the stars, the behavior of animals, or the alignment of celestial events. The authority they wield is intertwined with the universe itself. Their right to guide the community is sanctified by the heavens. With kingship comes the need for more complex spaces. The temples grow higher, symbolizing proximity to the gods. The plazas expand to accommodate larger rituals. The architecture becomes more elaborate, refined through knowledge passed down over generations. Builders experiment with new techniques, aligning walls, doorways, and staircases with the movements of the sun and stars. The city becomes a cosmological map, a living representation of the universe. This is also the era in which astronomy and mathematics begin to flourish. The Maya had long observed the sky, but now their observations take on new precision. They create sightlines within their cities to track the solstices and equinoxes. They measure the shadows cast by buildings at specific times of the year. They note the phases of the moon with extraordinary detail. They follow the movement of Venus, the brilliant planet that rises before dawn and returns after sunset, with a rhythm that seems to mirror the heartbeat of the cosmos. In the Preclassic age, these observations were woven into stories. But now, they become part of a larger system, one that will eventually become the most complex calendrical and astronomical tradition in the ancient world. Imagine a Maya astronomer standing atop a simple but tall platform at dawn. The air is crisp, the jungle is quiet. The first rays of sunlight creep over the horizon. He watches the point where light breaks through the canopy. He marks it with a stone. Over weeks, he returns every morning. He sees the sunrise shift along the horizon. He learns the path it traces across the year. And as patterns emerge, he feels something profound. The sense that time itself is not random. It is structured, cyclical, sacred. From these careful observations, the beginnings of the Maya calendar emerge. At first, the calendar is simple, a way of tracking seasons, planting cycles, and rituals. But as communities grow and rulers rise, the calendar develops into something far more intricate. The Maya conceive of time as a series of interlocking cycles. The 260-day sacred cycle known as the Tzolkin, the 365-day solar cycle known as the Hab, and larger cycles that combine these two in magnificent patterns. These patterns allow the Maya to predict not only agricultural seasons, but also celestial events, ritual dates, and symbolic anniversaries. Time becomes a living force, moving through the world in endless, repeating rhythms. Every day has a meaning. Every cycle carries a lesson. Every number resonates with spiritual significance. Kings emerge as the keepers of time. Their rise to power is intertwined with their mastery of these cycles. They use the calendar to legitimize their rule, claiming that their birth dates align with auspicious signs. They schedule rituals based on celestial events. They design cities that embody cosmic geometry. Their authority is not merely political, it is cosmic. Let us follow one of these rulers as he ascends a temple stairway. It is the early morning of a sacred day. The sky is still dark. Torches flicker along the edges of the plaza, illuminating the path. People gather below, watching in silence. The ruler climbs slowly, deliberately, each step echoing across the stone surface. At the top, he turns toward the horizon. He raises his arms as the first rays of sunlight break through the trees. In that moment, the people see him not just as a man, but as a channel of divine energy. The sun touches him first. The sky acknowledges him. The ritual binds him to the heavens and reaffirms his right to rule. This relationship between rulers and the cosmos becomes a defining feature of Maya civilization. Cities are built not merely as places to live, but as places to connect with the divine. Temples rise like mountains, echoing the sacred shape of the world tree, the axis that links the underworld, the earthly realm, and the sky. Plazas act as stages for sacred performance. Staircases align with solstices. Murals depict cosmological patterns. Every architectural element carries meaning. At the same time, society becomes more stratified. Artisans specialize further, creating intricate ceramics, elaborate figurines, and tools that reflect increasing sophistication. Traders travel farther, uniting distant communities and spreading ideas. Farmers refine agricultural practices, learning to cultivate larger fields and support growing populations. The community becomes an organism, each person contributing to the whole, each role essential to maintaining balance. Rituals become more elaborate as well. Bloodletting, once a simple act of offering, now becomes a central ceremonial practice. Leaders, male and female, draw their own blood as a way of communicating with the gods and ancestors. Blood is seen as the essence of life, a sacred bridge between worlds. The rituals are not violent expressions, but intimate acts of devotion, performed with deep reverence and solemnity. Imagine such a ceremony under the soft glow of torchlight. A ruler stands in the heart of the plaza. The air is thick with incense. Drums beat slowly, like a heartbeat echoing through stone. He draws a thin obsidian blade across his skin. The blood falls onto paper or cloth, which is then burned. As the smoke rises, the people believe it carries messages to the gods. The ruler's sacrifice reaffirms his commitment to the well-being of the community. It shows that he is willing to give of himself to maintain cosmic harmony. As rituals like these grow more central to Maya life, art evolves to reflect them. Early stele-carved stone monuments begin to appear in the plazas. These stelae depict rulers standing tall, adorned in elaborate regalia, holding scepters shaped like serpents or sky symbols. The carvings are not merely images. They are records of events, rituals, and reigns. They become the earliest form of historical documentation. Through them, the Maya preserve memory not in books but in stone, and slowly, the first symbols emerge that will eventually develop into a full writing system. The earliest Maya writing appears as protoglyphs carved into monuments or painted onto pottery. These symbols represent names, places, dates, and concepts tied to ritual. They are the building blocks of what will become one of the most sophisticated scripts ever developed in the ancient world. Meanwhile, astronomical knowledge continues to advance. The Maya observe the moon with remarkable precision, noting its phases and its cycles. They track eclipses. They study Venus with particular reverence, believing it to be a powerful celestial force with deep spiritual meaning. The movements of Venus are linked to war, ritual, and cosmic balance. Priests and astronomers work together to refine predictions, creating tables that will eventually be recorded in bark paper codices. The idea of cyclical time becomes deeply ingrained in Maya consciousness. Everything, birth, death, rulers, crops, rituals, cities, follows cycles. Nothing ends, it transforms. This understanding gives Maya culture its spiritual richness and its philosophical depth. It also shapes their political ideology. Kings become embodiments of time itself. Their births are celebrated as cosmic events. Their deaths are seen as transitions rather than endings. Their reigns mark the passage of sacred cycles. As we walk through a pre-classic city at night, we feel the presence of this cosmic worldview all around us. The plaza glows in the moonlight. Shadows stretch along the edges of the temples. The air is still, but the sense of energy is palpable. It is as if the city is breathing, each building an organ, each plaza a heartbeat, each ritual an exhalation of meaning. The people sleep, but the universe continues its cycles. And in a few hours, when dawn breaks, the priests and astronomers will rise to greet the sun, beginning again the sacred dance between humanity and the heavens. The rise of kingdoms and the flowering of astronomy transform the pre-classic landscape. What were once villages have become complex, spiritually alive cities. What were once rituals performed in small groups are now orchestrated ceremonies involving hundreds. What were once simple mounds have become proto-pyramids. And what were once stories passed orally have become symbols etched into stone. We stand now at the threshold of the classic period. The foundations are laid. The cities are growing. The rulers are rising. The calendar is evolving. The sky is being mapped with increasing accuracy. Everything is in motion. Everything is becoming. In the centuries to come, Maya civilization will reach its golden age. Tikal will rise like a stone giant from the jungle. Palenque will craft monuments of breathtaking delicacy. Copán will become a cradle of art, mathematics, and astronomical expertise. Kings will carve their names into stelae that endure for thousands of years. Cities will blossom in the lowlands and highlands, shining like stars across the vast tapestry of the Maya world. But before we step into that era of grandeur, take a moment to rest in this luminous period of awakening. Feel how the world has changed. Feel how knowledge has deepened. Feel how rulers have emerged, guided not by conquest but by cosmic order. Feel how the sky has become a teacher, a calendar, a deity, and a map. In this moment, the Maya stand poised between past and future. Behind them lie the humble beginnings of villages and family compounds. Before them lies an era of monumental cities, soaring temples, and unparalleled cultural complexity. And beneath their feet, beneath the roots of ceiba trees and the stones of early plazas, lie the memories of ancestors whose whispers still guide their steps. The dawn of kingship and the birth of astronomy mark the arrival of a new age, one that will transform the Maya world forever. And as we prepare to enter the grandeur of the classic period, let us carry with us the gentle truth that even the greatest civilizations rise not in explosions of power, but in slow movements of understanding, in the careful tracking of stars, in the devotion of rituals, in the quiet wisdom of leaders who bridge the realms of earth and sky. The pre-classic world settles behind us like a landscape fading into twilight. The first cities, El Mirador, Nakbé, Cival, San Bartolo, stand as quiet silhouettes in the memory of time, their early temples glowing in the warm light of dawn. The kings of the previous age have begun to step forward as the guardians of ritual and keepers of cosmic order. The calendar cycles move with increasing precision. The stars speak with greater clarity. And as the centuries gently unfold, the world steps across a threshold so profound that future generations will look back on this moment as the era when Maya civilization truly blossomed. We now enter the classic period, a time when cities rise like mountains from the jungle, when kings carve their names into stone to be remembered for millennia, when astronomers calculate the movements of the heavens with breathtaking accuracy, when art, architecture, ritual, mathematics, and political intrigue weave together into a tapestry of civilization unmatched in the ancient world. This is the golden age of the Maya, a world vibrant, intelligent, spiritual, and alive, but also delicate, complex, and deeply human. Tonight, as you relax and let your breath soften, allow yourself to drift through this extraordinary era. Let the world slow down. Let the jungle open before you. Let the temples rise in your imagination like ancient dreams awakening. The journey is long but gentle, and the classic Maya world awaits. The landscape of a new age. It is around the year 250 CE. The forests of the Maya lowlands shimmer with life. Tall ceiba trees pierce the sky with their pale, straight trunks. The jungle hums with insects, birds, and unseen creatures moving cautiously beneath the undergrowth. Amid this vast green world, the cities begin to rise. Their temples stretch above the canopy, catching the first light of dawn. Their plazas unfold like calm pools of limestone. Their causeways shine white against the earth. Their palaces echo with the footsteps of scribes, priests, and attendants moving through the corridors of power. The Maya world is no longer a constellation of villages. It is a network of kingdoms, each one centered around a divine ruler, each one speaking its own dialect, each one with its unique identity, art style, and cosmology. The kings no longer simply interpret the heavens, they embody them. Their headdresses mimic the rays of the rising sun. Their regalia glitters with jade, the stone of life and breath. Their thrones are shaped like jaguars, symbols of strength, might, and kingship. The Maya believe that a ruler stands at the center of the universe, serving as the bridge between worlds. Their blood feeds the gods. Their rituals ensure cosmic harmony. Their victories maintain order. But political power alone is not what defines this era. More than anything else, the classic period is an age of flourishing intellectual and artistic achievement. The Maya are thinkers, observers, creators. Their minds roam the heavens, the depths of the underworld, and the intricate cycles of time. To understand this world, we must first step into one of its greatest cities. Arriving in Tikal, the heart of a kingdom, imagine approaching Tikal for the first time. The jungle parts slowly around you, revealing a skyline unlike anything on Earth. Temple tops emerge above the treetops, angular, elegant, towering forms breaking the green horizon. Stone stairways climb upward like silent ladders to the sky. Each step shines under the sun, worn smooth by generations of footsteps. As you walk along the white-plastered causeway leading into the city, you feel the hum of life all around you. Merchants call out their goods: salt, obsidian blades, cacao beans, textiles dyed in deep blues and reds. Children run through the plaza, chasing each other. Priests move in quiet procession toward the temple steps. Scribes sit beneath shaded porticos, carving glyphs into wooden tablets. Tikal is more than a city. It is a kingdom, a seat of power, a place where rulers stand on high pyramids to greet the rising sun, where astronomers climb platforms at dawn to measure the dance of celestial bodies, where rituals echo deep into the night. The air smells of incense and warm limestone. The sound of drums reverberates through the plaza. Parrots fly overhead, their colors flashing in the light. You have entered not only a city, but a world crafted with intention, every line, every angle, every plaza aligned with the stars. Let us walk toward Temple the First, the rising silhouette of a steep pyramid crowned with its iconic double-roof comb. At its summit lies the tomb of a great ruler, Jasor Chan Kawil I. Though in this moment, during the classic era, he is not yet a memory, he walks these plazas alive, ruling with strength and vision, leading Tikal through one of its greatest resurgences. Under his leadership, Tikal grows powerful again after a long era of conflict. He restores temples. He commissions stelae. He defeats rival kingdoms. He breathes new life into the city that sleeps beneath the trees. But we are early in the classic era now. Jasor Chan Kawil will not rise for many generations. For now, Tikal is a center of early growth, a city that will continue to expand, deepen, and evolve. Let us leave Tikal for the moment and travel to other jewels of this golden age. Palenque, the city of water and wisdom, journey west, through the mist-covered hills of Chiapas. Here, the air grows cooler, the jungle less dense. The mountains ripple like soft shadows beneath the clouds. Nestled between these hills lies Palenque, a city unlike any other. If Tikal is a city of height, Palenque is a city of elegance. Its temples seem to float above their terraces. Its palace stretches wide, with courtyards, galleries, and a unique tower rising like a sentinel to the sky. Water runs beneath the palace through engineered canals. Stone aqueducts guide streams with gentle precision. The sound of flowing water is everywhere, soothing, eternal. Palenque is home to one of the most remarkable rulers of all Maya history, Kinich Janab Pakal, known to us simply as Pakal the Great. Pakal ascends the throne as a young boy, and in his long reign, the city flourishes. Temples rise, adorned with intricately carved stucco scenes. Glyphs bloom across walls like poetic vines, recording myths, genealogies, and cosmic origins. Art reaches new heights of beauty, delicate, expressive, refined. The Temple of the Inscriptions, where Pakal will one day be buried, stands as one of the greatest funerary monuments of the ancient world. Inside lies a stone sarcophagus carved with cosmic symbolism. The lid shows Pakal falling or rising into the jaws of the underworld, surrounded by stars, snakes, and sacred trees. It is an image not of death, but of transformation. Palenque's story is one of intellect, artistry, and a deep connection to myth. Its scribes master the written word. Its sculptors capture motion in stone. Its priests articulate a cosmology so intricate that even now, scholars continue to uncover its nuances. Let us step quietly away from the city and journey east again. Copán, the city of stone and time. Follow the river valleys into what is now Honduras, and you will arrive at Copán, a city of scholars, sculptors, and mathematicians. Copán is famed for its stelae, towering monoliths carved in round, three-dimensional detail. Each one depicts a ruler wearing elaborate headdresses, jade ornaments, serpent crowns, and richly patterned cloaks. Their faces are calm yet commanding. Their hands hold symbols of authority, scepters, staffs, effigies of gods. These stelae are not mere portraits. They are chronicles. Time itself is carved into their surfaces, long count dates, celestial events, rituals, victories. The hieroglyphic stairway, one of Copán's greatest achievements, contains the longest inscription in the Maya world. Each step bears glyphs recounting the dynasty's history. As you climb the stairs, you ascend through centuries of recorded memory. Copán is also known for its astronomy. Priests here calculate Venus cycles, lunar tables, and eclipse patterns with extraordinary accuracy. The city is built with alignments that mirror the heavens. The observatory, a modest but powerful structure, opens pathways to the stars. To walk through Copán is to feel time made visible, stone made intelligent, and history made sacred. The classic Maya city, a living organism. Now that we have visited several cities, let us look more closely at what they share. What makes a classic Maya city unique? A Maya city is not simply a collection of buildings. It is a cosmic map, a living ritual, a reflection of the universe. At its center is the plaza, a vast open space where people gather for ceremonies, markets, dances, and rituals. Around the plaza rise the temples, tall, steep pyramids topped with shrines. The higher a shrine sits, the closer it is to the heavens. To climb a temple is a sacred act, one that mimics the journey of the gods themselves. Near the temples stand the palaces, complex, multi-structured residences for the king, his family, his scribes, his attendants. The palace is not merely a home, it is a court of ritual performance, politics, diplomacy, and administration. Nearby, you may find a ball court. The Maya ball game is not a sport in the modern sense. It is a ritual reenactment of cosmic conflict, the struggle between light and darkness, life and death, creation and destruction. The ball court echoes with the thud of a rubber ball, struck with hips, knees, and elbows. Its walls witness triumph, sacrifice, and renewal. Surrounding these central spaces are neighborhoods, each one home to extended families. Artisans work in workshops, potters shaping clay, weavers creating textiles, carvers shaping wood and stone. Marketplaces bustle with activity, gardens bloom behind homes, children play in the dust and shade. Elders sit in doorways recounting stories of creation and ancestors. The Maya city is a living organism, every building, every street, every carving connected to a larger sacred system, rulers beloved, feared, divine. In this golden age, kingship reaches its full expression. A Maya ruler is more than a political figure. He is the axis mundi, the center of the world, the living bridge between gods and humans. His birth is foretold by omens. His accession is timed with celestial events. His rituals maintain cosmic balance. His blood nourishes the gods. His name is carved into stone, meant to last far beyond his lifetime. Let us step into one of the coronation ceremonies of a classic Maya king. It is dawn. The sky is still blue-gray, the edge of the sun hidden behind low clouds. The city gathers in silence around the plaza. Incense rises from braziers, drifting like ghosts. Drums begin to sound slow, deep, like the footsteps of time approaching. The ruler walks slowly up the temple stairway. Attendants follow, carrying woven mats, carved effigies, and sacred bundles. At the top, the priest awaits. He holds a stingray spine, a symbol of sacrifice. He recites genealogies stretching back generations, connecting the new king to ancestors, gods, and cosmic cycles. The ruler kneels. The priest draws blood. The blood falls upon bark paper offered to the gods. Smoke rises as the paper is burned, carrying the essence of the offering into the heavens. The new ruler stands. He is crowned with a headdress of quetzal feathers. He lifts his arms toward the rising sun. The crowd erupts in chant. A new era begins. This ritual is not merely symbolic, it is cosmic. It aligns the ruler with the heavens, legitimizes his authority, and binds him to sacred duty. Religion, a cosmos alive with meaning. To understand the classic Maya, we must understand their worldview. The Maya believe the universe is divided into three realms: the heavens, home of gods, and celestial forces; the middle world, where humans live, cultivate, create, and die; the underworld, a watery, dark realm filled with challenges, ancestors, and transformative energies. These three worlds are connected by the ceiba tree, the world tree, its roots in the underworld, its trunk in the mortal world, its branches reaching toward the heavens. Temples are built to mirror mountains and the world tree. Their stairways symbolize ascension. Their chambers represent the womb of creation. Rituals take place everywhere, in temples, in homes, in caves, in cenotes, in plazas. Caves are sacred portals to the underworld. Cenotes, deep, natural wells, are both sources of water and entrances to other realms. Priests read signs in the movements of stars. Astronomers track Venus across the sky. Scribes write calendars that predict eclipses, divine cycles, and sacred anniversaries. The Maya world is alive. Everything is connected. Everything is symbolic. Everything carries a meaning beyond the visible. The calendar, a sacred machine of time. During the classic period, the Maya calendar system reaches its full sophistication. Time is not linear. It is cyclical. It echoes. It returns. Three major calendars operate simultaneously: Tzolkin, the 260-day sacred cycle. Harb, the 365-day solar cycle. Long count, a linear count, tracking thousands of years. Each day has a name, a number, a personality, a destiny. Each date aligns with cosmic forces. To be born on a certain day is to inherit its energy. To perform rituals on a certain day is to amplify their power. To ignore the cycles is to risk imbalance. Time is not something the Maya measure. It is something they inhabit. The classic period is full of dated monuments. Kings carve their reigns, victories, alliances, and ceremonies into stone, anchoring their lives in a cosmic timeline. It is through these inscriptions that we today can reconstruct their history with remarkable precision. Art, stone, color, motion, spirit, classic Maya art flourishes with unmatched beauty. Stucco masks replace earlier ones, now larger, more detailed, more expressive. Painted murals bloom across palace walls, scenes of ritual, courtly life, myth, and dance. Pottery becomes storytelling vessels depicting gods, heroes, animals, ceremonies, and ball games. Sculpture becomes three-dimensional, capturing motion and emotion. Some stelae show kings emerging from the jaws of serpents. Others show queens performing bloodletting rituals. Others still show gods wearing masks fashioned from flowers, jade beads, or shells. The Maya carve not just with precision, but with poetry. Every line has meaning. Every symbol has depth. Every image carries layers of mythology and history. Even everyday objects, plates, cups, figurines, become canvases for beauty. Art is not decoration. Art is devotion, writing the voice of the gods in human hands. Classic Maya writing reaches its full complexity, a system of over 800 glyphs, combining logograms and syllabic signs. Scribes train for years. They learn to paint, carve, and recite glyphs. They become the intellectual elite keepers of knowledge, history, language, and cosmic order. Writing appears everywhere, on stelae, on ceramics, on murals, in books made of bark paper codices, on jade ornaments, on shell carvings, on wooden tablets, on the walls of palaces. Through writing, the classic Maya preserve not only their history, but also their myths, astronomy, mathematics, rituals, politics, and beliefs. The Maya script is a living voice that speaks across centuries. Warfare ritual, symbolism, prestige. Though often associated with beauty and knowledge, the Maya classic world is not free of conflict. Warfare is common but different from the large-scale battles of later empires. Maya warfare is ritualized, symbolic, focused on capturing nobles, marking victories, and asserting cosmic legitimacy. A successful capture strengthens a king's sacred power. Defeat threatens cosmic order. Cities form alliances, negotiate marriages, engage in rivalries. Some cities rise through diplomacy, others through conquest, others through spiritual prestige. The tension between Tikal and Calakmul, two powerful kingdoms, casts a long shadow over much of the classic period. But even in war, ritual remains central. Battles occur on auspicious days. Captives are treated in symbolic ways. Opponents record victories with careful cosmological framing. Warfare is not the collapse of order. It is part of the cosmic balance. Daily life, people of the Maize. Let us now step away from royal courts and towering temples and spend a quiet moment in the daily life of the classic Maya. For most people, life revolves around maize planting, tending, harvesting. Families rise with the sun. Women grind maize on stone metates, the sound rhythmic and steady. Men work in the milpa, the fields clearing brush, planting seeds, checking irrigation. Children help gather firewood, carry water, or feed turkeys. Dogs roam freely, companions and protectors. Homes are built of adobe, wood, and thatch, cool in the day, warm at night. In the evenings, families gather around hearths. Smoke curls upward. Stories drift through the air. Elders speak of gods who shaped humans from maize dough, of heroes who traveled through the underworld, of ancestors who watch through the stars. The classic world is not only grand temples and cosmic kingship, it is also the warmth of home, the softness of community, the continuity of tradition, the high point of the classic world. By the 7th and 8th centuries, the Golden Age shines at its brightest. Cities flourish across the lowlands and highlands. Trade networks stretch across mountains, rivers, and coasts. Art reaches unmatched beauty. Writing deepens in complexity. Astronomy attains remarkable precision. Kings build grand monuments. Priests refine rituals. People thrive. This era is the height of Maya civilization, a time when culture, knowledge, and spirituality converge in perfect harmony. But even in this golden age, shadows begin to gather. Population increases. Resources become strained. Rivalries escalate. Climate shifts. Dynasties falter. The classic world is beautiful, but fragile. Yet tonight, we remain in its glow. We linger among its plazas. We listen to the drums echo across moonlit courtyards. We watch the stars through the eyes of Maya astronomers. We admire the artistry of scribes and sculptors. We feel the power of kings who believed themselves bridges between worlds. The classic period is a world both familiar and mysterious, filled with human emotion, divine aspiration, and the pulse of time itself. And as we prepare to leave this golden age, we recognize that no civilization, no matter how brilliant, can escape the cycles of time. But that story, the story of decline, transformation, and rebirth, belongs to the next chapter. For now, rest in the radiance of the classic era. Rest in the glow of temples rising into the dawn. Rest in the whisper of glyphs carved into eternal stone. Rest in the harmony between cosmos and kingship. Rest in the quiet splendor of a world that dared to measure the heavens and carve time into monuments. The classic Maya world glows at its brightest. Temples rise into the pale sky. Dynasties carve their names into stone. Cities hum with markets, rituals, laughter, and art. But underneath the beauty, underneath the harmony, another rhythm begins to pulse slower, deeper, more complex. It is the rhythm of politics, of ambition, of alliances and betrayals, of a world where time is sacred, but power is fragile. Tonight, as we drift gently into the next chapter, we step into the intricate world of Maya political life, where kingship, diplomacy, marriage, ritual, and war weave together like threads of a vast cosmic tapestry. The surface of Maya civilization is peaceful, but beneath it, rulers negotiate, plot, and maneuver, not with loud declarations or open armies, but with quiet strategy, careful timing, and the ever-present belief that power must always mirror cosmic order. Let your breath soften, let your mind relax, and allow this complex world to unfold around you, not harshly, but like a slow-moving shadow beneath the forest canopy. The political landscape, a mosaic of kingdoms. Unlike empires such as Rome or Persia, the Maya never build a single unified state. Instead, their world becomes a mosaic of city-states, each one independent, each one ruled by its own divine king, each one speaking the same cultural language but following its own political path. Imagine the lowlands from above, a vast jungle stretching toward the horizon. Across this endless green, dozens of cities rise like islands. Tikal, Calakmul, Caracol, Naranjo, Copán, Quirigua, Yaxchilan, Palenque, Dos Pilas, each with its own plazas, temples, palaces, and monuments, each connected through trade routes, river paths, and diplomatic alliances, each competing for prestige. Power is not measured by land alone, it is measured by tribute, ritual supremacy, lineage, alliances, and the number of stelae carved in honor of a ruler's achievements. But with so many kingdoms, so many rulers, and so much prestige at stake, tensions form like storm clouds, gathering above the forest, and slowly, conflict begins to move from the edges of politics into its center. The roots of conflict, prestige, and lineage. To understand Maya warfare, we must first understand Maya kingship. A Maya king does not rule by force, he rules by cosmic legitimacy. His right to power must be proven through his lineage, his rituals, his victories, his alliances, his ability to maintain balance in the universe. If a ruler fails in these sacred duties, if droughts strike, if harvests fail, if rivals capture prestige, the people may question his authority. Thus, rulers constantly seek ways to strengthen their legitimacy. Some do it through monumental construction, raising temples that pierce the sky, carving stelae with elaborate narratives. Some do it through diplomacy, marrying into other royal houses, forming alliances that bind multiple cities into a network of shared identity. Some do it through ritual, performing dramatic bloodletting ceremonies to feed the gods and prove their devotion. But inevitably, some do it through warfare. War is not the goal. War is the ritual that restores cosmic balance when diplomacy fails. And in this world where the king is the axis of the universe, victory in battle is not merely political, it is sacred. The nature of Maya warfare, symbol and sacrifice. Maya warfare is unlike the massed armies of later civilizations. It is closer to ritual performance than total war. Armies are small elite warriors, trained in close combat, skilled in hunting and movement through the forest. Battles are swift, targeted, and deeply symbolic. The goal is not to destroy cities, it is to capture people, especially nobles, warriors of status, and members of rival dynasties. A captured noble is a powerful trophy, both politically and spiritually. Captives are paraded, honored, and sometimes sacrificed, not as cruelty, but as cosmic offerings, gifts that feed the gods and reaffirm the victor's rightful place in the world. This kind of warfare is called wars of prestige, wars of sacrifice, wars of tribute. Through these conflicts, rulers demonstrate their sacred strength. Dawn of the great rivalries. As the classic period progresses, political tensions sharpen. Two great powers begin to dominate the landscape, Tikal in the central lowlands and Calakmul to the north. These two cities are like twin stars, equal in brilliance, equal in ambition, pulling the entire Maya world into their orbit. Their rivalry is not simply military, it is ideological, a battle for cosmic legitimacy. For centuries, their histories intertwine. Sometimes they influence distant kingdoms through diplomacy or marriage. Sometimes they clash through proxies, using smaller cities as battlegrounds. Sometimes they strike directly. This rivalry becomes one of the defining forces of the classic Maya world. But before the great conflicts fully ignite, politics continues to grow more intricate. The art of alliance, marriage, trade, and ritual. In the classic Maya world, diplomacy is not a soft alternative to war. It is a form of warfare by other means. Marriage becomes one of the most powerful tools of alliance building. A royal daughter may marry into a distant dynasty, linking two cities in a bond of shared blood and shared gods. A son may be sent to another court to be raised, educated, and eventually enthroned as a client king. Trade networks reinforce alliances. Cities exchange cacao, jade, obsidian, textiles, salt, and ritual objects. Through trade, goods carry stories, and stories carry political influence. Rituals also play a significant role. Joint ceremonies bind rulers together. Visits between courts become events of cosmic significance. Gifts of carved jade, painted ceramics, or sacred feathers symbolize friendship, loyalty, or submission. But alliances are fragile. A single insult, a missed tribute, a failed harvest, or a poor omen can unravel years of diplomacy. And when alliances fail, conflict begins to rise like a slow, inevitable tide, a world of proxy wars. One of the most distinctive aspects of Maya political life is the use of proxy warfare. Large cities rarely attack each other directly. Instead, they influence smaller cities, often border towns or vassal states, to fight on their behalf. For example, Tikal may support a rival faction inside Naranjo. Calakmul may back a claimant in Dos Pilas. Caracol may shift allegiance depending on the winds of power. These proxy wars ripple across the landscape, pulling multiple cities into webs of conflict and alliance. If one city falls, others shift like birds in a flock, adjusting their loyalties to the new balance of power. The Maya world is fluid, constantly shifting, constantly recalibrating. And under all of this movement lies a profound belief. Power must flow like the cycles of time. The Dos Pilas crisis, a shadow falls. Perhaps no example illustrates the complexity of Maya political life more clearly than the story of Dos Pilas. Dos Pilas begins as a small city, founded by a prince of Tikal. But soon, it becomes a pawn in the great rivalry between Tikal and Calakmul. Calakmul sees an opportunity. It supports the prince against his own birthplace. The prince, strengthened by this foreign backing, rebels, civil war erupts, families divide, cities take sides. Blood is shed not between foreigners, but between brothers. Dos Pilas becomes a symbol of the darkness political ambition can cast. Its history is written in shifting loyalties, betrayals, and relentless warfare. Eventually, the city falls, its monuments abandon triumph, and instead speak of desperation, a dynasty caught in the teeth of cosmic conflict. The story of Dos Pilas is not a tragedy alone. It is a reflection of the entire Maya world, beautiful, sophisticated, but vulnerable to the pressures of politics. The rise of Caracol, an alliance that shifts history to the east. Another city rises in power, Caracol. Caracol aligns itself with Calakmul at crucial moments. Together, they challenge Tikal's dominance. Their alliance reshapes the political map. In one famous event, Caracol defeats Tikal so decisively that Tikal enters a period of silence, no stelae, no monuments, no inscriptions, for over a century. In Maya terms, this is not just political defeat, it is cosmic collapse. The silence of a city means its rulers have lost legitimacy, lost connection to the gods, lost the right to carve time into stone. Caracol's rise shows that Maya politics is not static. Power is fluid. A smaller city can rise to prominence through strategy, alliance, and ritual success. In this world, prestige is as powerful as armies, Yaxchilan, and the power of queenship. Not all political influence flows through kings. In cities like Yaxchilan, queens play central roles. Lady Kabal Shuk, for example, becomes one of the most powerful figures of her time. She participates in rituals of bloodletting, summons ancestral visions, and stands beside her husband in acts of cosmic significance. Her image is carved across lintels, stepping from serpent jaws, holding ritual objects, guiding the destiny of the kingdom. In Maya politics, queens are not merely consorts. They are spiritual leaders, diplomats, and symbols of continuity. Their marriages forge alliances, their rituals renew cosmic cycles, their presence reinforces the legitimacy of kingship. Yaxchilan thrives, in part, because of the strength and influence of its royal women. This speaks to a broader truth. Maya politics is not only a story of men and war, but of women, lineage, and spiritual power. The darkening sky, tensions rising. As the classic period reaches its height, something subtle begins to shift. Wars become more frequent, alliances more brittle, rituals more urgent. Cities build defensive walls, something rarely seen in earlier centuries. Populations strain resources. Climatic fluctuations begin to appear in cave sediments and lake cores. But the kings continue to carve monuments celebrating their victories. The plazas remain full. The ceremonies continue. The classic Maya world does not collapse overnight. It flickers. It pulses. It strains under the weight of its own complexity. And at the center of this turbulence lies one of the greatest rivalries in ancient history. The titanic struggle Tikal vs. Calakmul. This rivalry spans centuries. It shapes alliances. It shifts the destinies of kingdoms. It fuels proxy wars. It defines entire eras. Calakmul, the Snake Kingdom, weaves a vast network of allies, vassal states, and loyal cities. Its emblem, a serpent's head, appears on monuments far from its home. Its influence stretches across the lowlands like an unseen force. Tikal, the ancient giant, stands tall but threatened. It too builds alliances, marries into other dynasties, and asserts its cosmic right to rule. The two cities maneuver around each other like jaguars in the dark. Indirect battles, diplomatic strikes, hostage-taking, prestige contests. Then, at key moments, direct confrontation. Some battles are recorded in stone, but many unfold in silence, known only through shifting alliances and abrupt changes in inscriptions. At one point, Calakmul gains the upper hand. Tikal falters. Its influence wanes. But later, Tikal resurges under powerful kings like Jasor Chan Kawil I. The city regains prominence, restores its monuments, and defeats Calakmul in decisive engagements. This rivalry is not simply political. It is cosmic. Each victory realigns the universe. Each defeat threatens to unbalance it. Through these tensions, Maya politics becomes a delicate dance between ambition and spirituality. The cost of glory cities at risk. As wars intensify, some cities thrive while others decline. Some, like Dos Pilas, are consumed by conflict. Others, like Naranjo, recover after periods of turmoil. Others still, like Quiriguá, seize opportunities, breaking free from powerful overlords to achieve brief moments of independence and glory. In these political shifts, we see the fragility of Maya life. Cities are not eternal. Dynasties rise and fall. Power moves like the stars, brightening, dimming, returning. And yet, through all the turbulence, the Maya continue to carve their histories in stone. Even in decline, they document time. Even in defeat, they anchor themselves in cosmic cycle, daily life during turbulent times. For ordinary people, the rise and fall of kings shapes life subtly but persistently. A new alliance may bring more trade. A lost battle may bring heavier tribute. A captured ruler may mean new rituals, new taxes, new obligations. But daily life continues. Families plant maize. Women grind grain at dawn. Children play in the plazas. Artisans create pottery and sculpture. Priests conduct ceremonies to honor the gods. The turbulence of politics trembles above them, like thunderclouds in the distance, but daily life on the ground remains a steady pulse. And it is this steady pulse that ultimately sustains the Maya world, even as its political landscape grows increasingly unstable. The beginning of cracks, a world under pressure. By the late 8th century, the tension reaches a peak. Wars become more desperate. Cities fight not only for prestige, but for survival. Food shortages ripple across regions. Droughts stress water systems. Dynasties lose heirs. Rulers are captured. Stellae begin to record ominous events, defeats, disruptions, failures of tribute. Some cities build defensive walls, others erect hurried fortifications. The plazas that once hosted grand rituals now bear signs of anxiety. This is the beginning of the unraveling, but for now, for this chapter, our story ends before the collapse. We remain in the moment when the Maya political world is rich, complex, and alive, but trembling, filled with ambition, but strained, magnificent, but beginning to falter. The calm voice of the classic Maya era whispers to us, power is fragile, prestige is fleeting. But time moves in cycles, kings rise, kings fall, cities flourish, cities fade, the universe continues. In our next chapter, we will follow the Maya not through courts and battles, but through the soaring heights of intellect, their mathematics, astronomy, and writing systems knowledge that transcends politics and speaks to the eternal human desire to understand the cosmos. But for now, breathe slowly, rest in the shadows of the towering pyramids, feel the whisper of wind through empty plazas, let the echoes of ancient diplomacy fade like distant thunder. Let the story of Maya politics settle gently into your thoughts. The world is turning, the cycle is changing, and the stars are watching. The political world of the classic Maya trembles as we leave chapter 6 behind. Rivalries deepen, alliances shift like shadows, kings rise and fall, sometimes within a single generation. Cities strengthen themselves with walls, embankments, rituals, and alliances. The noise of ambition echoes across the forest, and yet beneath the turbulence of politics another world thrives. A quieter world, a world shaped not by conflict, but by observation, not by the sword, but by the mind, not by bloodshed, but by curiosity, devotion, and the desire to understand the universe. It is the world of Maya knowledge. Tonight, we step gently into that realm. We leave behind the clash of kings and enter a softer landscape, a landscape of starlight, symbols, numbers, and the patient turning of time. This is the chapter where the Maya brilliance glows brightest, where their intellect, artistry, and spirituality converge, where we see how deeply they understood the universe long before modern science existed. Let your breath slow, let your thoughts soften, and allow yourself to drift into the luminous mind of the ancient Maya, the intellectual heart of a civilization. While cities negotiated power and kings battled for prestige, Maya thinkers, astronomers, mathematicians, scribes, philosophers quietly shaped one of the most sophisticated knowledge systems in the ancient world. Their temples were observatories, their plazas were calendars, their sculptures recorded cosmic order, their writing captured centuries of memory. This knowledge was not separate from religion, it was religion. To understand the sky was to understand the gods. To calculate time was to fulfill cosmic duty. To write history was to anchor the divine in the mortal world. Where other civilizations studied the heavens for navigation or agriculture, the Maya studied the heavens to communicate with the universe itself. Let us begin with the foundation of all Maya knowledge, mathematics. The mathematical mind order in dots and bars. Maya mathematics is elegant, simple, and extraordinarily powerful. At its core is a vigesimal base 2-0 system, different from the base 1-0 system most of the world uses today. To represent numbers, Maya scribes used 3 symbols: a dot for 1, a bar for 5, a shell for 0. That shell representing 0 is one of the most astonishing intellectual achievements in human history. The Maya were among the first cultures anywhere to conceive of 0 as a placeholder, a symbol for nothing, yet essential for expressing everything. A concept so revolutionary that many civilizations took millennia to adopt it. Imagine a Maya scribe sitting beneath a thatched roof. A bowl of pigment rests beside him. He dips a fine brush into the dark ink and paints a small shell symbol. Few people of his time understand its full significance. But through that simple shape, an entire mathematical universe opens. The dot and bar system allows him to record massive spans of time, centuries, even millennia without complexity. It allows him to calculate astronomical cycles with remarkable precision. It allows him to anchor events in a cosmic timeline stretching back to mythic creation. This mathematical clarity is the engine that powers Maya astronomy and the calendar. Let us travel into the sky with these thinkers. Astronomy, a sky that speaks. The Maya did not merely look at the sky, they listened to it. They treated the heavens as a vast library filled with movements, patterns, and divine messages. From dawn to dusk, from season to season, generation to generation, they watched. They observed the rising and setting of the sun, the phases of the moon, the path of Venus across the horizon, the cycles of stars, the timing of eclipses, the solstices and equinoxes, the changing length of shadows. Their world was alive with raid signals. Temples were aligned so that sunlight on specific days illuminated sacred carvings. Observatories were built with windows that tracked stellar motions. Priests climbed towers at dawn to record the exact moment the sun appeared. Let us imagine such a dawn now. The sky is pale blue. Birds stir in the treetops. The air is cool and still. On a temple platform, a Maya astronomer kneels, facing the horizon. He holds a cord with knots tied at specific intervals, a measuring tool. Slowly, the first edge of the sun peaks above the trees. The astronomer doesn't blink. He notes the position, the moment, the color of the dawn. And in that instant, he sees not only a sunrise, but the beginning of a new cycle. To him, the sun is not just a star, it is a being, a traveler with a path, a ruler with responsibilities. Every movement is meaningful. The Maya track the sun so accurately that they predict solstices and equinoxes without error. They align buildings to capture rays of light at perfect angles, creating effects so precise they look intentional even today, like serpents appearing in shadows or chambers, illuminating only on sacred days. But among all celestial bodies, one holds particular power: Venus. The mystery of Venus, warrior of the sky. Venus is brilliant, bright, and swift. It rises before dawn and sets after sunset, following a cycle of 584 days. To the Maya, Venus is not merely a planet. It is an omen, a warrior, a bringer of change, a harbinger of events. The Maya chart Venus' cycle with unbelievable precision. Even without modern instruments, their calculations match modern astronomy almost perfectly. Why such devotion? Because Venus is tied to warfare, to power, to cosmic judgment. When Venus rose as the morning star, some kings believed it was auspicious to launch campaigns. When Venus disappeared, rulers performed rituals to balance cosmic forces. The planet's brilliance filled Maya stories, murals, and codices. In the Dresden Codex, one of the few surviving Maya books, astronomical tables map Venus with mathematical pages that resemble celestial poetry. Every date, every line, every symbol ties the planet's position to ritual and destiny. The Maya look to Venus not for curiosity alone, but for guidance. They believe the planet reflects divine will. Its brightness foretells events. Its movements reveal patterns woven into the fabric of reality. Venus, the warrior of the sky, becomes a companion to kings, priests, and astronomers alike. But the Maya study far more than planets. They study time itself. The calendar, the soul of Maya civilization. If astronomy is the body of Maya knowledge, the calendar is its soul. Maya timekeeping is among the most intricate ever created. It interlocks cycles like gears in a sacred machine. It expands across centuries, yet remains intimately connected to daily life. There are three main calendars. 1. Tzolk'in, the sacred 260-day calendar. A cycle of 20-day names combined with numbers 113. This calendar governs ritual, divination, naming, and destiny. Every day has a spirit. Every number has a meaning. The combination forms an energy unique, powerful, and personal. A child born on 8 Ajar inherits qualities from both the number and the day name. Priests advise parents, interpret omens, and predict futures based on these cycles. 2. Harb, the 365-day solar calendar. This tracks the agricultural year, planting, harvest, rainy seasons. It consists of 18 months of 20 days, plus 5 extra days known as Wayeb, dangerous days when the boundaries between worlds blur. During Wayeb, people avoid risky tasks. Priests perform purification rituals. Families stay close to home. 3. The long count, the grand cycle of time. This system measures vast spans of time, counting forward from a mythic creation date. It tracks centuries, even millennia, using place values of 1 day, 20 days, 360 days, 7,200 days, 144,000 days. With this system, the Maya can record dates with extraordinary precision. Imagine carving the 12th of September 2011, 5.18 into stone, knowing it marks a specific day more than a millennium away. This is not just timekeeping, it is cosmic storytelling. The long count ties human events to the mythic cycles of creation. It connects kings to ancestral deeds. It ensures that memory endures. In Maya thought, time is alive. It breathes, it moves, it returns. And through the calendar, humans learn to move with it, the scribes keepers of the sacred word. To record time, the Maya need scribes, perhaps the most respected intellectuals of the classic world. Scribes are not ordinary writers. They are trained from childhood in arts, astronomy, history, and ritual. They learn hundreds of glyphs by memory. They master painting, carving, calligraphy, and poetry. A scribe carries tools: a brush made from animal hair, a shell filled with carbon black ink, a small bowl of red pigment, a pouch of sharpened obsidian flakes, a folded codex of bark paper. Their hands are steady. Their eyes observe details others cannot see. Their minds hold the stories of kings, gods, and stars. Scribes carve the deeds of rulers into stelae. They paint codices with tables of eclipses, Venus cycles, rituals, and prophecies. They decorate pottery with scenes of mythology. They inscribe jade jewelry worn during ceremonies. Writing is everywhere. On monuments, on murals, on the walls of temples, on portable objects, on artifacts buried in tombs. It is through the work of scribes that we today understand Maya history as clearly as we do. They ensure the past survives. They anchor the present. They predict the future. Their writing is not merely communication, it is devotion. The glyphs are language of art and power. Maya writing is logographic and syllabic, a system where symbols represent whole words or sounds. A single glyph might show a jaguar head, a human face, a hand holding a torch, a serpent emerging from a flower, a star, a mask, a geometric pattern. Each symbol carries layers of meaning. Some represent sounds, others entire concepts, others mythic beings. A talented scribe combines glyphs like a poet composing verses. The writing flows in paired columns, read in zigzag patterns. Its curves, angles, and flourishes resemble living creatures. Even numbers look like art dots, and bars arranged with elegance. When a ruler erects a stela, the glyphs carry as much significance as the image of the ruler himself. They declare royal ancestry. They describe rituals performed. They mark victories in battle. They record cosmic anniversaries. They tie the king's life to the movement of time. And when a scribe signs their name in tiny glyphs at the corner of a vessel or mural, they place themselves into eternity. Their handwriting becomes their legacy. Mythology knowledge shaped by story. Maya knowledge is not cold or abstract. It is infused with story. The Maya do not separate science from myth. For them, astronomy is mythology. Mathematics is spirituality. Writing is cosmic memory. Much of what we know about Maya myths comes from later texts like the Popol Vuh, written long after the classic era but carrying echoes of older traditions. In Maya myth, the world is created multiple times. Gods emerge from caves and watery darkness. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. The Milky Way arcs like a celestial river. Venus glows bright in the east. The moon casts pale light across the plazas. Somewhere, a scribe sits by the last traces of his torchlight, finishing a glyph on a piece of pottery. Elsewhere, a priest stands atop a temple, watching for a sign in the heavens. A mathematician calculates the next significant calendar date. A ruler's historian records the events of the year onto a stela. And beneath all this, the city breathes softly, calm, balanced, alive with thought. In our next chapter, we will move from the heights of knowledge into the shifting world of late classic turbulence, the precursor to collapse. But tonight, let the brilliance of the Maya mind stay with you. Let it settle into your thoughts like starlight. Let it remind you that even in a world filled with conflict, there is always room for wonder, curiosity, and the quiet pursuit of understanding. The brilliance of Maya knowledge glows in Chapter 7 like starlight across an ancient sky. Their mathematicians chart the heavens with serene confidence. Their astronomers predict cycles with a precision that humbles the modern mind. Their scribes write the breath of time into stone. Their artists shape cosmic truths into murals, pottery, and sculpture. For a moment, the classic Maya world feels eternal, as if nothing so luminous could ever fade, as if the cities rising above the canopy could stand forever. But history, like the stars the Maya adored, moves in cycles. Brightness is always followed by dimming. Rise is followed by descent. And the classic Maya world, for all its intelligence and beauty, is no exception. Tonight, we step gently into the twilight of a civilization. This is not a violent collapse. It is a slow unraveling, a quiet fading, a long, soft exhale after centuries of brilliance. Let your body relax. Let your breath match the slow decline of this ancient world. And together we will walk through the final centuries of the classic period, the era when the Maya world began to fracture, falter, and finally fall silent. As the monumental cities stand against the horizon, something subtle begins to shift. It is not dramatic at first. It is a thinning of voices, a quieting of plazas, a disturbance felt more in the spirit than in the stone. Priests notice signs in the sky that feel slightly out of place. Astronomers detect irregularities in patterns that once felt dependable. Farmers sense tension in the soil, in the wind, in the rains that no longer arrive with the same reliability. Rulers feel pressure building beneath the surface of their power. All of it small at first. All of it easy to ignore. But slowly, these subtle changes become the trembling heartbeat of an entire civilization. The most immediate fracture appears in politics. The world described in Chapter 6, filled with shifting alliances, proxy wars, and dynastic rivalries, begins to strain under its own weight. Too many kings, too many ambitions, too many cities competing for influence in a landscape that cannot support endless conflict. Rivalries sharpen. Prestige becomes harder to maintain. Victories become more desperate. Defeats become more devastating. The delicate balance between war and diplomacy collapses. Cracks form in the political map of the Maya lowlands. The once great alliances of Tikal, Calakmul, Caracol, and Naranjo shift like sand beneath the tide. Succession disputes erupt within royal families. Cities fracture into rival factions. Vassal states break away from their overlords. Power splinters into dangerous, chaotic webs. And in the midst of this political turbulence, the people, the farmers, artisans, merchants, and families begin to feel the weight of instability. Yet politics alone does not bring a civilization down. War alone does not erase centuries of knowledge. Instead, political tension works in concert with something far more difficult to control: the environment itself. The classic Maya world relies heavily on seasonal rains. Their fields depend on water stored in natural depressions, reservoirs, and underground systems. Their cities grow larger, more populated, more demanding, and slowly the climate begins to turn against them. Rains become irregular. Periods of drought stretch longer than memory. Forests become thinner as wood is harvested for building and fuel. Soil begins to tire under centuries of cultivation, and beneath it all, a fragile ecological balance begins to dissolve. Imagine a Maya farmer standing in a clearing at dawn. He looks at his field and sees soil baked dry by unforgiving sunlight. The maize plants that once stood proud and green now wither in the heat. Water stored in nearby reservoirs has sunk to a fraction of its usual level. He crouches, runs his fingers through the dust, and senses something is deeply wrong. He listens for the rain spirits in the wind, but hears only silence. This silence spreads throughout the lowlands. It seeps into the plazas of cities. It fills the spaces between temples. People begin to whisper, "Are the gods angry? Have rituals failed? Have kings lost their sacred mandate?" Doubt grows like a shadow. Fear grows like an unseen vine twisting around the heart of the civilization. As drought intensifies, the pressure on leaders grows unbearable. Kings must perform rituals to bring balance back to the cosmos. They climb temple stairs with bloodied hands, offering sacrifices to the gods. But when rain does not come, people lose faith. A ruler's legitimacy rests on his ability to maintain harmony. Without rain, there is no harmony. Without harmony, kingship collapses. And in city after city, that collapse begins. Warfare, once symbolic and ritualized, becomes desperate. Cities raid one another for resources. Conflicts become more violent, less ceremonial. Walls begin to rise around cities, a sign of fear, not power. People flee from regions struck hardest by drought. Refugees travel through forests, seeking water, food, and safety. Some cities absorb them, others turn them away. Competition for survival intensifies. The delicate political mosaic of the Maya world shatters into shards. Slowly, cities begin to fall, not in dramatic infernos or epic battles, but in quiet abandonment. A stela left uncarved, a temple left unfinished, a palace courtyard left overgrown, the sound of footsteps fading from plazas that once echoed with ritual and celebration. Let us walk through one of these cities now, as it stands on the brink of decline. It is early morning. Mist hangs low over the plazas, but there are no merchants calling out their goods, no children running between the buildings. No priests lighting incense at the temple steps. The air is heavy with a stillness that feels like morning. A lone artisan sits carving half of a glyph into a stone block. He pauses. He listens to the forest. He senses something is ending. He sets his chisel down, stands, and walks away. The stone remains unfinished. The memory remains unfinished. The city remains unfinished. One by one, the great cities follow this pattern. Tikal struggles. Calakmul weakens. Caracol fades. Naranjo collapses. Dos Pilas is destroyed. Palenque empties. Copán loses its dynasty. Each city falls in its own way, at its own pace, for its own reasons. But the pattern is unmistakable. The classic world is closing. Let us pause for a moment inside an abandoned city. We walk through a plaza where weeds break through the limestone floor. We step carefully over roots that snake across temple stairways. Birds perch atop crumbling roof combs, their calls echoing through hollow structures. The jungle slowly reclaims the stone. Vines weave into corridors, leaves carpet the ground, branches pry open walls. Nature does not anger. Nature does not rejoice. Nature simply returns. The cities dissolve into forest like sand into water, not violently, not suddenly, but gradually, patiently, with the quiet certainty of time. And yet, even as cities crumble, the people do not vanish. This is one of the greatest misunderstandings in history. The Maya did not disappear. Their civilization did not evaporate into myth. The collapse of the classic cities is not the end of a people. It is the end of a political era. A transformation, not an extinction. Families flee the lowlands, carrying their traditions with them. They travel to the highlands where rains are more reliable. They settle near lakes, rivers, and volcanic soils. They rebuild communities. They plant maize again. They speak Maya languages. They keep sacred calendars. They honor gods and ancestors. They weave the future from the threads of the past. As rural settlements grow, the landscape of power shifts northward. Regions like the Yucatan Peninsula begin to flourish. Cities such as Uxmal, Kaba, and Cival rise with new architectural styles. Later, Chichén Itzá grows into a powerful center, mixing Maya traditions with influences from beyond the peninsula. Life continues. Culture continues. Time continues. But the great classic cities of the lowlands, the mighty kingdoms that defined centuries, fade into legend. Their plazas are filled not with people but with silence. Their temples become homes for birds, insects, and drifting shadows. Their stelae lean under the weight of vines and time. Let us return once more to the heart of an abandoned classic city. Night has fallen. Moonlight filters through gaps in the canopy. Temples that once blazed with torches now stand quiet under the stars. A soft wind moves through what was once a grand palace hall. Dust rises gently in its wake. The air carries a memory of incense, laughter, prayer, and footsteps. But the city sleeps. The world has moved on. The cycle has turned. And yet beneath this quiet, beneath the roots and stones, something remains alive. The knowledge of the Maya endures. Their mathematics survives in codices and carvings. Their calendars are still kept by communities in the highlands of Guatemala and Mexico. Their languages are still spoken, living tongues carrying centuries of heritage. Their myths still echo through oral tradition. Their descendants still walk the earth, honoring traditions born in ancient forests. The collapse of the classic Maya is not a story of disappearance. It is a story of renewal. A shift from one form to another. A cycle closing, another cycle opening. Just as their calendar taught, time bends, folds, returns, transforms. Nothing ends. Everything changes. As we leave the twilight of the classic era, imagine the forest gently covering the last stones of a forgotten temple. Imagine the stars shining overhead. indifferent to human rise and fall. Imagine the whisper of wind moving through an empty plaza like the breath of a sleeping giant. Imagine the Maya spirit not lost, not broken, simply changing shape, waiting for the next dawn, waiting for the next chapter, waiting for the cycle to turn once more. In our next chapter, we will journey north into the world of Postclassic Maya Chichén Itzá, Mayapán, and the kingdoms that emerged from the ashes of the classic world. New cities, new rituals, new challenges, a new era rising from the ruins of the old. But for now, rest here in the quiet. Rest in the soft echo of ancient footsteps. Rest in the calm that follows a long cycle of brilliance. Rest in the twilight of a civilization that never truly died, only transformed. The classic world fades behind us like a great city slipping quietly beneath the surface of memory. The plazas that once echoed with ritual now lie covered in vines. The temples that once touched the heavens now sleep beneath the forest canopy. The kings whose names were carved in stone now drift like shadows between cracked monuments. And yet, the story of the Maya does not end in that silence. It changes shape. It gathers itself like mist. It moves northward toward a land of dry forests, limestone plains, and deep blue cenotes. A new pulse begins to rise from the Yucatan Peninsula. A new chapter unfolds. A new kind of Maya world awakens. This is the post-classic era, a time when the Maya reinvent themselves, a time when knowledge survives, cities revive, and new powers rise from the calm after centuries of turbulence. And tonight, we walk gently into that world, letting its transition unfold in slow, soft breaths. The collapse of the southern lowlands leaves behind a map of abandoned cities and empty plazas. But the Maya people have not vanished. They carry their traditions north, to lands where rains are more predictable and the soil holds steady. Villages spring up near fertile fields and along the coastline. Communities cluster around trade routes that stretch across the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. The spirit of Maya civilization moves with them, quiet but unbroken. Time begins again in a new landscape, and at the center of that landscape rises a city of shimmering stone, a city destined to become the torchbearer of a new era, Chichén Itzá. To reach Chichén Itzá, imagine walking across the northern Yucatan. The land is flatter than the southern lowlands. The air is dry, carrying the scent of dust and wild herbs. The forest is shorter here, more open, letting sunlight spill across the limestone ground. Water lies hidden underground, collected in natural wells known as cenotes deep, mysterious pools that sparkle like obsidian mirrors. For the Maya, these cenotes are sacred. They are portals to the underworld, gateways to the spirits, sources of life in a land where rivers do not flow. It is near these cenotes that Chichén Itzá rises. As you approach the city, the first thing you see is light. The limestone walls reflect the sun, turning gold at sunrise and silver under the moon. The air hums with quiet energy. Footsteps echo across broad plazas. Markets bustle with merchants carrying cotton, honey, cacao, obsidian, salt, feathers, and jade. Scribes sit cross-legged beneath arcaded halls, recording trade deals and ritual dates. Priests prepare offerings in the shade of towering temples. And above all, the Great Pyramid rises, the Temple of Kukulkan, known today as El Castillo. The pyramid stands like a silent heartbeat in the center of the city. Its sides rise sharply, perfectly aligned with the cardinal directions. 91 steps ascend each of its 4 sides, 365 in total when the top platform is counted 1 step for every day of the year. It is a calendar in stone, a monument to cosmic order, a staircase to the sky. During equinoxes, the setting sun casts a serpent-shaped shadow that slithers down the northern staircase. The serpent is Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god, descending from the heavens to bless the city. Thousands gather to watch this silent miracle of light and shadow. They fall still as the serpent appears. They feel the ancient connection between earth and sky. In this moment, Chichén Itzá becomes not just a city, but a living observatory, a place where architecture and astronomy merge into a single sacred breath. As you walk deeper into Chichén Itzá, the city reveals itself like a dream made of stone. To the west lies the Great Ball Court, the largest of all Maya ball courts. It stretches longer than a modern field, its walls towering like cliffs. The space is quiet now, but in its time it echoed with the thud of a rubber ball striking stone. Warriors once played here under the watchful gaze of carved serpents and feathered beings. The game was not sport, it was ritual. A symbolic reenactment of cosmic cycles, a meditation on life, death, and rebirth. When the ball flew through the air, the people saw not movement but myth. The players became avatars of gods battling in the underworld. The victory of one team mirrored cosmic triumph. The defeat of another symbolized sacrifice. The court held the stories of creation carved into its walls in quiet detail. North of the ball court lies the sacred cenote, a great circular opening in the earth. Its water glows green and deep beneath the sunlight. Priests once cast offerings here: gold bells, jade beads, obsidian blades, ceramic vessels, and other treasures, gifts to the gods dwelling in the watery depths. Sometimes, sacrifices were made, not as cruelty, but as solemn devotion. The cenote became a portal between worlds, a bridge between the living and the divine. Even today, standing at its edge, you feel the heavy silence that lingers above the water, a silence that remembers centuries of prayer, a silence that breathes the weight of ancient offerings, a silence that feels sacred. Chichén Itzá is not the only city to rise during this period. Across the Yucatan, new architectural styles flourish. Uxmal, with its smooth-sided Pyramid of the Magician, rises to the west. Copán, with its facade of hundreds of carved masks, emerges as a center of artistry. Cival and Labna create graceful palaces with archways like stone rainbows. Together, they form the Puic region, a constellation of cities rich in elegance and design. Their structures feature mosaic stonework, delicate friezes, and intricate lattice patterns. Their palaces stretch long and low, blending with the earth rather than piercing the sky. Their temples glow like lanterns under the rising moon. These cities speak softly. Their beauty is subtle, refined, almost musical. They add a gentle voice to the chorus of the post-classic world. Back in Chichén Itzá, influences drift in from distant lands. Ideas from central Mexico mingle with Maya traditions. Architectural styles blend. Warrior imagery becomes more prominent. Feathered serpents coil through temple carvings. Columns replace earlier corbel vaults. New gods appear in murals and sculptures. This cultural blending does not diminish Maya identity, it expands it. The Maya adapt, transform, absorb, recreate. Their world rises from the ashes of collapse not as a memory, but as a renewed vision. Let us walk now into the Temple of the Warriors. Rows of columns stretch across a wide courtyard, some carved with warriors wearing elaborate outfits, others plain and weathered. The temple above them rises in stepped tiers. At its summit sits a Calakmul figure, a reclining statue holding a bowl upon its belly. Offerings were once placed into this bowl, tributes to gods, symbols of devotion, tokens of gratitude. Wind moves gently through the columns now. Shadows shift, like silent dancers on the stone floor. The temple feels alive, even in stillness. It remembers ceremonies, chants, footsteps, and prayers. Its stones carry the warmth of centuries. Chichén Itzá thrives because it becomes more than a capital. It becomes a hub of trade. Merchants travel by canoe along coastal routes. They carry goods from distant lands, turquoise from the north, gold from Panama, obsidian from the highlands, cacao from the south. Markets overflow with goods from every corner of Mesoamerica. Artisans carve shell jewelry, weave cotton cloth, and shape elegant pottery. Diplomats, travelers, scholars, and priests mingle in the plazas. Languages blend, ideas flow freely, knowledge spreads like light across the city. And yet even in this era of revival, shadows form slowly at the edges. No city remains unchallenged forever. No kingdom rises without eventually reaching a point of strain. Power attracts rivals. Prestige attracts contention. Cycles move forward. Over time, Chichén Itzá's influence begins to wane. Internal disputes spark within elite families. Trade routes shift. New powers rise. Uxmal gains strength in the west. Mayapán emerges later as a political force. Gradually, authority disperses. Chichén Itzá continues to thrive for centuries, but its golden age fades. Not suddenly, not violently, but softly, like a candle burning low at the end of a long and brilliant night. Still, the Maya do not vanish. Their world shifts once more. Power moves to Mayapán, a walled city, more compact, more defensive. Here, noble lineages rule together in a council. The era of divine kingship gives way to an era of shared governance. Rituals continue. Calendars are kept. Temples rise. Trade flows. But the tone is different now, more cautious, more guarded, more aware of fragility. Eventually, even Mayapán falls. Internal conflicts tear the ruling families apart. The city burns. Its people scatter. Small regional states emerge across the Yucatan, but society continues. Communities thrive, villages flourish, the Maya languages endure, the calendars endure, the rituals endure, the identity endures. Now imagine the Yucatan Peninsula, just before the arrival of Europeans. Dozens of Maya towns lie scattered across the land, each one ruled by its own local leader, each one connected through trade, marriage, alliances, and tradition. Farmers plant milpas fields of maize, beans, and squash. Fishermen cast nets into clear coastal waters. Scribes record dates and rituals in bark paper books. Priests keep track of celestial cycles. Women weave bright textiles on backstrap looms. Children learn glyphs, stories, and songs. The Maya world is alive. Changed, but alive. Transformed, but enduring. And as we step quietly out of this chapter, imagine Chichén Itzá in the soft light of dawn. The pyramid glows faintly as birds circle above it. The serpent shadow will appear again when equinox arrives. The cenote remains calm and deep, holding centuries of memory. The ball court stands tall, silent but dignified. Columns stretch like guardians across the plaza. Stone walls shine with the warmth of the rising sun. The city sleeps, but it remembers everything. The post-classic Maya world is not a story of collapse. It is a story of rebirth, a story of movement, a story of endurance, a story of transformation. It shows us that civilizations do not die, they become something new. They find new shapes, new centers, new voices, and the Maya, more than many cultures, embody that truth. In our next chapter, we will enter the final arc of this journey, the encounter with Spain, the reshaping of Maya life, and the endurance of Maya identity into the modern world. But for now, let the stones of Chichén Itzá hold you in their calm. Let the cenote breathe its ancient silence. Let the serpent's shadow slither softly in your imagination. Let the night settle over the temples, and let the story rest quietly before we move to its final horizon. The story of the Maya has carried us through cycles of brilliance and decline, from the rise of monumental cities to the quiet abandonment of plazas lost beneath the forest. From the astronomical genius of the Classic Age to the rejuvenated splendor of Chichén Itzá in the post-classic world. Through it all, one truth has remained constant. The Maya do not vanish, they transform, they adapt, they endure. As we step into this final chapter, let your breath soften, like a leaf drifting onto still water. Let your thoughts loosen, like vines slipping free from stone, and allow yourself to drift into the living spirit of a people who have outlasted kingdoms, droughts, wars, invasions, and time itself. This chapter is not about collapse. It is about resilience. It is about survival. It is about the quiet strength that threads itself through Maya history like the roots of a ceiba tree gripping the earth. Tonight, we step into the world of Maya endurance, not as archaeologists or historians, but as quiet observers, listening to a story that never stopped being told. As the post-classic cities rise and fall, the Maya continue to shape their world with determination. When Chichén Itzá fades, they build Mayapán. When Mayapán burns, they build new towns, new alliances, new forms of governance. They weave communities across the Yucatan, the highlands of Guatemala, the mountains of Chiapas, the coasts of Belize and Honduras. Their identity grows into hundreds of villages, each with its own customs, dialects, and rituals, but all connected by the thread of Maya memory, a memory carried through stories, calendars, language, and ceremony, a memory that refuses to be erased. Let us walk gently into one of these Maya towns. It is dawn. Mist rises from the earth like breath. Women gather near the hearth, grinding maize on smooth stone metates. The rhythmic sound echoes softly through the morning air. Children chase each other around clay pots and baskets. Elders sit in doorways weaving colorful high piles with steady hands. Men head toward the fields to tend their milpas, corn, beans, and squash growing together. Rooted in ancient agricultural wisdom, the land is quiet. The routines are simple, but beneath the surface lies a deep, unbroken connection to ancestors who lived centuries before. Every action, planting, cooking, weaving, storytelling carries echoes of the classic world. Even after the great cities fell silent, the Maya kept their sacred calendar. Priests continued to track the cycles of days, guiding communities through rituals, planting seasons, and ceremonies. They taught the young to read the sky. They taught the old to remember the gods. Their hands traced the tzolk'in and harb patterns again and again, like beads sliding through fingers in a prayer. Time remained sacred. Time remained alive. Even when temples turned to ruins, time did not break. In the highlands of Guatemala, communities gathered around ridge-top towns with narrow streets and steep stairways. Smoke curled from adobe hearths, rising into cold mountain air. Families carried bundles of wood on their backs along terraced hillsides. Markets overflowed with chili peppers, squash, maize, cloth, pottery, and woven belts. The Maya languages, Quiché, Quechua, Cacchiquel, Tzotzil, Tzeltal, and dozens more flourished like branches on the same ancient tree. Each language held stories unique to its people. Each language carried the rhythm of time, the pulse of ancestors, and the memory of cities long returned to forest. Even now, more than 6 million Maya descendants speak these languages. Their words preserve the cadence of a civilization thousands of years old. Their stories keep the spirit alive. Let us step quietly into a Maya home at night. A fire glows softly in the center. Corn tortillas cook on a clay griddle, releasing warm aromas that drift through the room. Children listen as an elder tells the story of creation, how humans were shaped from maize dough, how the hero twins defeated the lords of the underworld, how the sun and moon came into being. These stories are not myths, they are memories. They carry the weight of centuries. They remind each generation that they belong to something older and larger than themselves. In this home, the past is not lost, it is spoken aloud. It is kept alive through the breath of the people. As the centuries turn, new challenges arrive across the Maya world. Foreign ships appear on the horizon. Strangers step onto the shore. They bring new languages, new weapons, new diseases, and new fears. The Spanish conquest sweeps across Mesoamerica like a storm. Cities burn, alliances fracture, books are destroyed, temples crumble, rulers fall. But even then, even under the weight of conquest, the Maya spirit does not disappear. They retreat into mountains and forests. They hide sacred texts in caves and under altars. They disguise their gods behind Christian saints to preserve rituals under watchful eyes. They weave resistance into their stories. They carve resilience into their daily lives. Imagine a Maya priest during the early years of the Spanish invasion. He stands inside a cave lit only by a single flickering flame. In one hand, he holds a codex wrapped in cloth. In the other, he holds a bowl of incense. Smoke rises to the ceiling like prayers drifting toward unseen gods. He whispers the names of deities whose temples have fallen. He traces symbols in the air, reminding the spirits that the people remain faithful. Outside the cave, the world is changing rapidly. Inside, the past remains alive, protected, sacred, unbroken. The Spanish established towns and churches across Maya lands, but beneath the surface of conversion, the old traditions persist. In remote villages, the Maya continue to consult daykeepers, spiritual guides who read the calendar and interpret cosmic cycles. They perform rituals at sacred mountains and springs. They teach children the meanings of dreams. They celebrate rain with dances that echo ancient ceremonies. Slowly, Maya culture merges with new influences but never surrenders its core. The heart of the Maya beats quietly beneath centuries of change. Across generations, the Maya continue to weave resilience into every aspect of their world. They weave it into textiles with colors that mirror the sky, the forest, the sun, and the earth. They weave it into language with stories that twist like vines around the trunks of history. They weave it into agriculture through the milpa cycle, an ecological masterpiece that sustains land and people alike. They weave it into ritual, honoring the four directions, the ancestors, and the spirits of earth and sky. Their culture becomes a tapestry of survival. Let us step now into a modern Maya village at dawn. The first rays of sun touch the rooftops. Smoke rises from early fires. Roosters call out across the fields. Women prepare masa dough for tortillas. Children dress for school, speaking both Spanish and the ancient tongue of their ancestors. Men head to the fields with machetes slung over their shoulders. The rhythm of daily life continues, steady and familiar. This is the same rhythm their ancestors followed 1,000 years ago, the same rhythm that shaped empires and survived collapse, the same rhythm that binds past and present into a single breath. In Guatemala, Maya communities celebrate the New Year ceremony with incense, fire, and offerings. They draw calendar symbols on the ground with colored powders. Daykeepers speak sacred words that align the people with the turning of time. Families gather around ancestral altars decorated with candles and flowers. The flames flicker, casting soft golden light across faces that resemble those carved in classic stele. The same eyes, the same features, the same quiet strength. Centuries may pass, but the connection remains. In the Yucatan, Maya farmers bless their fields before planting maize. They sprinkle holy water across the soil. They offer gourds of balché, a sacred drink made from tree bark and honey. They whisper prayers to Chak, the rain god, asking for gentle seasons and abundant harvests. The sound of their voices blends with the rustle of wind through the milpa. a sound as old as the first Maya villages, a sound that has survived droughts, wars, and colonization, a sound that carries hope. In Belize, Maya families craft pottery using techniques unchanged since the Classic era. Their hands smooth the clay, their fingers shape bowls and jars with ancient patterns. They fire the pieces in earth ovens just as their ancestors did. Each vessel becomes a memory, a continuation of identity, a quiet declaration that the past remains alive. In Chiapas, Maya communities perform rituals in caves filled with stalactites and deep echoes. Candles line the stone walls, smoke drifts through the chamber. People kneel before altars adorned with eggs, pine needles, flowers, and offerings. They pray for health, they pray for protection, they pray for balance in a world that moves too quickly. Their words rise into the darkness, carrying the weight of thousands of years. Even in cities filled with modern noise, Maya traditions live on. Young people learn to read ancient glyphs. Scholars rediscover astronomical tables their ancestors wrote. Artists paint murals inspired by old stories. Musicians play melodies that echo Maya rhythms. The past and present walk together, hand in hand. Let us imagine now a single Maya child sitting beneath a tree. She holds a book of stories passed down through her family. Her grandmother sits beside her, describing the meaning of each tale. The sun warms their faces. Birds call from the branches above. The child feels the weight of the stories of gods, heroes, creation, and rebirth. She feels the connection to ancestors who lived before the temples rose. She feels the quiet strength of her people stretching backward through time. In her heart, she carries all of Maya history, not as ruins, not as relics, but as something living, something breathing, something that will continue long after this moment has passed. The Maya survive because they evolve. They survive because they remember. They survive because resilience is woven into every part of their world. It is in their languages. It is in their rituals. It is in their maize fields. It is in their weavings. It is in their prayers. It is in their memory of time as a cycle, not a line. A cycle that turns gently, endlessly, like a wheel carved from starlight. As we reach the final breaths of this story, imagine the Maya world today. Not lost, not broken, but alive. A world where ancient calendars still tick, where sacred mountains still call, where stories still pass from elders to children, where identity stands strong in the face of change, where resilience whispers through every generation. A world where the past is not gone, but woven into the present. A world where the Maya continue to walk beneath the same stars their ancestors watched. A world where time, tradition, and spirit remain unbroken. And as our journey approaches its close, remember this: the Maya story is not a tragedy, it is a testament to survival, a testament to adaptation, a testament to the quiet, enduring strength of a people who refuse to fade. The temples may crumble, the cities may fall silent, but the Maya endure, in language, in ritual, in memory, in spirit. In every corner of their homeland, their story is not written in ruins, it is written in hearts. The jungle settles into its nighttime breath, crickets hum softly beneath the leaves. A distant owl calls into the darkness. The air cools, drifting gently across ancient stones worn smooth by centuries. Somewhere in the canopy, the wind moves through the branches like a slow exhale. And the Maya world, so full of stories and cycles and memories, becomes quiet. You may imagine a soft, low drum in the distance, fading into the background like a heartbeat winding down, or a flute, barely audible, echoing through the night like the whisper of an old prayer. But mostly, the sound is silence. A deep, peaceful silence that feels alive. A silence that remembers everything we've explored across this long journey. The rise of early villages. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. Your mind has walked through plazas bathed in moonlight. It has stood at the edge of sacred cenotes. It has felt the warmth of ancient hearths. It has watched the stars wheel slowly across the Maya sky. Now it is time to return. Slowly, gently, like drifting back from a dream. Imagine yourself standing at the foot of a temple as night settles fully across the land. The torchlight has faded. The last echoes of footsteps have dissolved into the soil. The stones beneath your feet are cool. The air around you is soft, almost weightless. And the jungle stretches out in every direction, endless, dark, alive. Each tree stands like a guardian. Each shadow moves with the breath of the night. Above you, the stars shimmer like tiny fires burning in the deep. The Milky Way arcs across the sky like a band of pale silver. This is the same sky the Maya watched for thousands of years. The same stars their astronomers mapped with reverence. The same constellations their timekeepers honored in sacred cycles. Let the sky comfort you. Let it settle over you like a calm, infinite ocean. Breathe again slowly, deeply, without effort. With each breath, imagine the tension leaving your body. With each exhale, imagine the weight of the day drifting away. Let the ancient world around you become a safe place, a quiet place, a place where nothing demands your attention, nothing presses for urgency, nothing asks anything of you. Here, in this imagined landscape of stone and moonlight, you are simply present, simply resting, simply drifting. The forest moves gently around you. Leaves rustle like soft whispers. Night insects create a delicate rhythm. Somewhere far off, water trickles a small stream winding through roots and rocks. Every sound is part of the same quiet symphony. Every sound is slow, warm, soothing. You can almost feel the earth breathing beneath you, steady, ancient, peaceful. Think of the Maya people who lived close to this earth. How they woke with the sun, how they listened to the wind, how they planted maize with reverence, how they honored ancestors with quiet offerings. Their world moved with cycles, with patience, with the gentle understanding that life returns, changes, transforms. There is wisdom in that rhythm, a wisdom you can feel now, settling gently into you, a reminder that you do not need to rush, that the night will carry you, that rest is part of the cycle too. Let yourself drift a little deeper, as if stepping slowly into soft water, as if sinking into moss beneath tall trees, as if lying down at the center of a wide, quiet plaza with the stars drifting overhead. The stones support you, the earth cradles you, the night protects you. Everything around you is gentle, everything around you is calm. You have reached the end of this long journey, and now there is nothing left to do but breathe. Just breathe. Feel your eyelids grow heavier. Feel your thoughts quiet. Feel your body becoming still. You have traveled through myths and temples, through wars and wisdom, through ages of growth and ages of silence. Now let all of it drift away like smoke under moonlight. Let the story fade softly at the edges, like carvings disappearing into vines, like footprints sinking into the forest floor, like a torch burning lower and lower until only embers remain. Your mind is safe here. Your body is calm here. The night welcomes you. The jungle surrounds you with peace. The ancient world asks nothing from you now except rest. So let yourself rest. Let the quiet wash over you. Let the stars dim behind your closing eyes. Let the warmth of distant fires fade into darkness. Let sleep come gently, slowly, softly, easily. And now, let the ancient jungle cradle your dreams as the long night settles over the quiet stones.